I'm closer to being on time than I usually am, but you can see from the location of my marches that I'm a little bit unprepared. Josh, welcome to the stream. Connor, hello to you as well. I'm a little bit unprepared because I was off killing barb camps all over the map. And so I'm not quite ready to kill a barb keep, as is the tradition at the start of these Friday streams. I'm gonna see if I can get someone from the Alliance to help me do this barb keep. At, let's say, 0:25 maybe? 17 minutes? That should be plenty of time. This thing is close. Yeah, because I only have 3 marches that can show up here. And that's only after my Seonduk walks home from the from ye old gold pit here. But we will ease into this stream. I will collect my thoughts as the stream gets going. Because I was just working basically up until this stream started. And people will trickle in. And hopefully we can get this barb keep done. And then after that, it will be... we'll just go from kind of one topic to another, I think. I do want to talk about the new equipment system. We can go over the Osiris League bets. Although I'm guessing they're either really tough or really easy this week. I haven't looked at the odds, but I would imagine like the 60 GT match will be fairly straightforward. We will simply look at the odds and see how crazy they are and decide based on that. And then maybe there's a close match. I honestly haven't even looked at the matchups yet. I kind of have had like a week where I didn't pay a ton of attention to ROK. Which is why I labeled this stream the rest and relaxation stream. Because maybe for the first time in 2023, I actually did step away from the game a little bit, both mentally and in terms of how much time I spent online and in the game. I actually took my mind off the game for a few days. Which I think it's kind of frustrating as a content creator to do that. But as a player and as a leader, it's what you need to do, right? You need to actually, when you're in the off season, you need to actually take a break, do other things, aspire to a tiny bit of balance in your life. And I'm not going to say that I achieved balance by doing other degenerate activities for a couple days, but I did like step away from the game a little bit. And I think a lot of people have been stepping away, honestly. We sent out a request for new officers in our alliance. That was a couple weeks ago, and we haven't announced that yet. Which I think means that Addie's probably taking some time off from the game as well. The officer chat's been pretty quiet. More quiet than usual. And I think in some ways that's a good thing. There was a little bit of tension for a while with me and some of the other high-ranking officers. And I think it's kind of a case where time just heals wounds. Where I the other day I was trying to, I was like, what were we arguing about? I can't even remember what we were arguing about. And then it did come to me kind of quickly, but anyway, you forget about these things. Like you just forget about them. You move on, right? So I think that's been a little bit healthy for me anyway, to just forget about some of this stuff. And yeah, honestly, it's just been kind of a weird week for me, and I honestly want to use this stream as a chance to relax, and I hope that you all can do the same. I hope that for those of you who are, you know, regular viewers of my Friday night live streams, I hope that this is a relaxing thing for you. It is a relaxing thing for me, honestly. Seeing some of the same people week after week, as well as talking to new and semi-regular people who are very intelligent, well-spoken people who know a lot about ROK, and just getting into conversations about either the game or about other parts of life. This, for me, is pretty important, honestly. And I realize on weeks like this that it is important. Because I honestly don't talk to a lot of people in my life. And something that's been really useful, that was really useful this week, was just thinking back on some of the things that I said on previous live streams. There was this one Friday where I was talking about being very antsy. We were doing a barb keep, and I was just saying, you know what? I feel very antsy today. Stompy, welcome to the stream. Luna, welcome to the stream. Connor, yes, I am aware of the 2605-1846 fight coming up. I'm planning to stream up to that pass opening. I believe the big man is going to be streaming when the pass is open, so I'll probably try to throw him a oh my gosh, I don't even remember what it's called. A raid. I'll probably try to throw Chisel a raid when that starts, if that's possible. But I'm planning to stream up to that point. I don't think I'm going to spectate it. I just think it works out pretty well that I start this stream at 5 and the pass is open in 3 hours, and I'll just do a 3-hour stream. But I did check in on that live stream earlier today, or on that 2605-1846 war earlier today. I had a feeling that things were like, oh, I didn't do these quests very well here, did I? I did these quests very badly. I had a feeling that war didn't have much happen in it. Here, let me just go over there, I'll go over there real quick to just kind of narrate my thoughts about what I thought might have happened. And look, a week ago we were watching this, and we were watching the two pass fights. They were pretty compelling. There was a lot of action. And I think the reason they were compelling is because both sides were sort of figuring out whether it was going to be possible to breach these passes. And based on just like not hearing much about it all week, I kind of had a sense that nothing was going to have happened. But at the same time, I'm kind of shocked that 1846 did not get in over here. Because we saw them burn down this first layer of forts. And I still don't understand how this fort never... Oh yeah, because you can put another fort. Anyway, I'm still kind of surprised that this fort survives, that it's not burning. You know, this fort got burnt down, but then it got rebuilt. They probably did the exact same thing that 846 did on the other side, which is that they found a 3-hour window where they had the open field advantage, and in those 3 hours they rebuilt this baby fort and this 75A fort. So just based on the fact that no one was talking about this KVK, and I didn't see a lot of people live streaming it during the week, I sort of had a sense that it had reached a stalemate. But I am a little surprised that 1846 didn't break in over here. Just because they were making so much progress as of a week ago. But yeah, it was kind of like one of those things, right, where I was really not paying attention to ROK, and I felt kind of bad that I had gotten, had a really good live stream of that war, and then I didn't follow up on it at all. There's a part of me that really felt like, oh, I should follow up on it. Okay, so this will be an interesting barb keep because Red Dog's here with a Takeda primary. I will say I think Takeda has the best portrait in the game, and I think Takeda has the best character art in the game. I mean, Takeda is just an awesome character model. But I felt kind of bad that I had not really followed up. Oh, Cherry's here as well. Excellent. Cherry, glad to have you in the chat, and glad to have you here at this barb keep. Thanks for the help. Anyway, I felt bad that I hadn't really done what I should be doing as a content creator and taking advantage of a great war. But since I did drop the ball on that, I kind of feel good that nothing happened. That I didn't really miss anything. And I think that there are some obvious issues with Warriors Unbound. I mean, I fully retract my thumbnail in which I posed the question, is Warriors Unbound the best KVK and ROK? I don't think it's possible that it can be when we've just seen so many stalemates at the level 6 passes. It'll be interesting when the passes open up tonight. It sounds like some new people are going to connect. Just because, Chisgle's going to be live streaming at 8 p.m. Pacific time, which I don't know where he lives, but I assume that's later wherever he lives. So they must be able to fight 846 more directly when these passes open, I'm thinking. Maybe I should go back there. Cherry, we will do this barb keep right at 25. Oh, Panther, well, thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Hopefully you're enjoying your home kingdom as much, if not more than I am, because, man, it is tough as a content creator, is it not? It is tough as a content creator to come up with content when we can't even chain, So, yeah, shout out to you for putting in the hours on the live streams, for connecting with the ROK audience, and giving them a place to hang out. Because I know you've been putting in the hours lately. But hopefully everything is good with you, Panther. Appreciate the raid, appreciate all your support. George, what's up? Alex, what's up? Georgia, what's up? So what's going to happen? Let's look at what's going to happen here tonight. Because the level 7 passes are opening. So here's one. So this is a zone that Song and, well, no, this is already, this is safe. That one's safe. You can tell I'm unprepared because I'm not even sure what I'm looking for here. Okay, so it's this one. Well, it's just gonna be another pass though. Nothing's gonna happen here either, right? It's just gonna be another pass war. SW is gonna try to invade the same zone that they've been trying to invade. Is there anything else that's Panther, welcome to Officer Chat. Glad to have you as part of the leadership group. Is there anything that's changed? Are any dynamics actually changing with these level 7 passes. So there's this one. So in this one, 846. Okay, so 846 is invading into Song over here. Okay, so this one could be compelling. I mean, this one might be compelling, right? Well, who's this? Okay, so this is... Oh, this is 846's... Oh, this is the other group. Okay. This is SJ32. So they're going to have another way of breaking into Norris Ford. But that's about it. I mean, I don't know that the dynamics really change much at all with these level 7 passes, to be fair. I did want to say that we keep saying it's Song. Like, we keep saying, oh, this yellow camp is Song, but you know, truth be told, PK26 made it farther in Osiris League than Song did. And so I'm kind of guessing that maybe PK26 is like the stronger KVK alliance or KVK kingdom of the two. We're calling them Song because it's like just what people know, but I mean, PK26 is a pretty real kingdom as well. Ollie, welcome. And yeah, everybody throw a like on the video. That would really help. So yeah, I mean, as I look at this, I'm not really seeing too much changing about this map as a result of these level 7 passes opening. I hope anyone who is a supporter of my channel will also support Black Panther's channel. Panther is a YouTube content creator in 2268 and also in 960. He has an account in both of those very big kingdoms. And I'm guessing he's going to be one of the best live streamers of 960 KVKs going forward. You know, he's got that really good access to 960 KVKs. So I would suggest throwing Panther a subscription over on his channel. And I think he's also probably one of the better networkers in ROK today. That's my impression of Panther. He gets a lot of very good recruiting done in 2268, and he gets a lot of big name players. All right, let's get started. Let's get started here. And he gets a lot of big name players sort of on his channel and in his voice chat and stuff. So I'm guessing he's going to be a pretty influential figure in ROK going forward. Potentially more influential than me. I think I probably make better videos than Panther does and spend a lot more time editing videos than he does, but truth be told, if you have the network and you have the connections and you have the friends with the right people, then you have power in this game. Oh, nice. We have we've got a player from N70S here as well. That's cool. Like my influence in this game is really going to be through this channel, right? I'm just going to say things on this channel, and then maybe the things that I say will influence the game in some sort of way, right? Like people will listen to my opinions, and that will affect their opinions, right? But I mean, I think the better way of influencing things, particularly diplomatically, particularly like in terms of what kingdoms do, what kingdoms think, who allies with who. I think you need to just have connections in the game. You have to have friendships in the game. You have to know the right people. And I think that's power, you know? I mean, like, who has more power in this game, right? What's a good example? I mean, I guess Panther's a good example. Like, who has more power in this game, Panther or Omniarch? Omniarch has a much bigger YouTube channel. But does he affect how any big kingdoms or big players think about things? Does he affect who allies with who in the big KVKs? He probably doesn't, right? But there are people you've never heard of who do have that power. And people who I've never heard of, actually. There are so many super powerful players in this game who I do not know who they are. I should know who they are, because, I'm a YouTuber now, and I need to share information that I have with all of you who are relying on my expertise and my knowledge to make you more knowledgeable about the game. But truth be told, I don't know who a lot of people are. Black Panther says Omniarch has more power than he does. I mean, he probably has the developer's ear more than you have. But I think you're more likely to give voice to big players, right? You're more likely to get someone I don't know, like Fish. You're more likely to get someone like Fish on your stream talking about things. And then, Fish is someone who actually has power in the game. And he's more likely to sort of use his voice on your channel than he is to use it on Omniarch's channel. And so I think in a sense that does give you power. But I would like to learn more about the movers and shakers in ROK. For example, I've heard that 1093 has a female king, and I don't know who that person is. I don't know their name. I don't know if they've been the king for a long time. I really have no idea. All I really know about 1093's leadership is I just see the person's name who's the R5 for Osiris League. So I think one of them was Silent Flow or something like that. And then I can't remember the rest because Silent Flow's the only one who's still alive in this thing. I'm not trying to start beef. I'm just trying to warm up my brain. I'm trying to warm up my brain for this for the next 3 hours, and so I'm just rambling about whatever comes to mind. And you rated me, so I'm gonna talk about you. It just happens. Oh, okay, Alex. I was wondering what message you sent that you had to retract. All right, so let's be careful here. Let's make sure everybody gets here. Let's wait till our Korean brethren get here, right? Don't go in yet. Here's the thing about emojis, right? Okay, wait. Where do I have a stop emoji somewhere? Dude, do not go in. There we go. I do have this emoji. This emoji is my 7th favorite emoji, right? I need another slot. Can we open 8 emoji slots, please? So I can add this one, the stop, the Ethelfled saying stop, and that's basically it. That's all I really need. I mean, I could maybe use this Charles one here, but anyway. All right, so we're ready now. We'll go in here. We'll go in. We'll gently go in. We'll gently go in. Stumpy, I am reading your chat. I agree with some of it, disagree with others of it, but your chat is acknowledged. Your chat is acknowledged. I'm not on the level yet where, oh man, Red Dog is gonna miss this, I think. No, yeah, Red Dog's gonna miss this. All right, I'm gonna pull off a couple of these. Oh, come on, Red Dog. Come on, Red Dog. Get there, get there, get there, get there. Okay, he made it. Yeah, maybe Nico. Maybe Nico is maybe Nico is who I'm thinking of, probably. All right, rewards acquired. Grind achieved. What was I just gonna say? What was I just gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say, as a content creator, I'm still at the level where I try to read and like repeat and address everyone's chat. When you get bigger, what you can do is you can ghost some of the chat, right? If you don't like what someone says, or if you don't want to repeat what someone says, or if you don't want to answer what someone says, you just ghost it, right? You just read it and don't even acknowledge it. I'm not at that level yet, so I'm acknowledging Stompy's statements. And truth be told, I will probably ghost some things over time, but I'm probably going to ghost things that I just don't think are great, are like interesting topics, or just maybe if someone's like repeating the same like dumb question or something, I might ghost that. But I think I'm always going to try to address things that people say, even if I don't really like them, or even if I don't, even if like it doesn't make me look good or whatever. I think that's just kind of like who I am as a person and what I think is interesting conversation. Like, I think disagreement is interesting. I think criticism is part of assessing things in the best way. Stumpy says, let's talk about the new equipment. Want to know what you think about them. Yeah. I mean, I think we can segue into the new equipment. I'm really curious what other people have to say about it. I did see the video that Chiskel made the other day about it. And I've also listened to a little bit of his video earlier today. Let's go over the mails. And let's just say I don't fully agree with Chiskel. I think he made some very good points, but I don't fully agree. And I think someone like me, who is A, not sponsored by Lilith, and B, Lilith probably doesn't even know who I am. I think it's valuable to have someone like me talking about these issues. Because even for content creators who aren't... Ooh. This shows how out of it I've been. I didn't even notice my VIP gift reward here. You know, I think even people who aren't sponsored content creators, some of them are knocking on the door of being a sponsored content creator. And so even then, it's sort of like, if I were in their position, I would be a little bit careful about what I say. Conqueror, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. How do I want to start with this? Well, I'll give like a very brief overview for people who aren't familiar with these new changes. Essentially, they're talking about adding level 55 equipment. It's going to be a new helm, chest, glove, legs, and boots will be a set, which is interesting because that's a 5-piece set, but you only need 4 pieces to get the bonus. Anyway, so those 5 pieces will get set effects, and then there will be new KVK, a new KVK weapon, and I assume a new KVK helm. But no, it doesn't look that way. It looks like only the weapon will be a new KVK weapon. It's all going to be level 55 gear. And what I have heard is that the new gear could be 30% better than the current gear. And that's, I'm guessing that when they say it's 30% better, they're not factoring in the set effects. And so once you start talking about adding another like maybe 8 points of stats from the set effects, we start talking about the new gear. A full set of the new gear might be like 35 to 40% better than the current gear. because when they say 30% better, I don't know. I'm bad at math, but I assume when they're saying like 30%, like if we take the KVK weapon, right? The KVK sword right now is 25% of stats. So the new sword, if it's 30% better, would be 32.5% of stats. So that's like 7.5% of stats on that one piece. And then if we multiply that by, but the sword's going to be a little bit more than the other ones. I mean, on the on the chest, right? Like the current chest is what, like 16% or something? Or let me look. The current chest is 11%. The current chest is 11%. And so then 30% better would be like 14.5%. So that's like 3.5% difference. That's 7.5% difference. If we average these out, we're looking at like 5.5% of stat difference times 6 pieces. That's going to be 33% more stats, right? So when they say it's 30% of stats better, it's sort of it both works on an individual piece basis and also on an overall basis. So a player who has all new equipment would be about 33% more stats, plus the set effects, plus 7% set effects, equals 40% better stats on new equipment, which is a very big deal, first of all. Again, to repeat something I made a point about last week, Yoda's armaments on his Archer March is 54% of stats right now. My Garrison armaments are 27% of stats. So Yoda has a 27% stat advantage on his Archer rally versus my Cav Garrison. And those were from armaments that a lot of money was spent on, and he had to get kind of lucky to get some of those. If he simply buys new gear and immediately equips, and also it took him a while to get all those armaments, right? It took him a few months. If Yoda simply buys the new gear immediately and upgrades every single piece, that's 40% of stats before crits. Okay. I mean, we're not even factoring in crits here, right? So, because the crit numbers are going to be huge, right? Like, on the current KVK sword, you're getting 7.5% of stats. But if the new sword starts at 32.5% of stats, and you get that 30% crit, then that's another, like, 10%. That's basically another 10%. And so then you're talking about like 42.5% of stats, right? So this becomes like 50% of stats pretty quickly, I would say. And it's tough. Okay, and it's tough, man. That's a big number. That's a really big number. And I think the best way to get into this is just to sort of bounce my own ideas off of what Chiskel said, because I think Chiskel is a compelling content creator who makes very good points, and I think that I've watched Chiskel's videos on a regular basis for like 5 years, and so I think I'm pretty familiar with how he crafts the argument he wants to make, and when I disagree with it, I can kind of like pick up on the methods he's using to make the most compelling argument possible. And so, like, one thing that Chiskel said in his video, in his argument for why, well, let me step back for a second. The issue with the new equipment, let me actually turn this music down just a little bit. It's distracting me a little bit. All right, so one of the issues with the new equipment and why they have talked about, rethinking what they're going to do, is that when you dismantle this old equipment, when you dismantle this old legendary equipment, as it stands now, you will only get half of your legendary materials back, right? You will go into your forge, you will dismantle, and you will only get half of the materials back, right? So like I have these Shio's Return, it's not really that good of a piece, but I'm not going to dismantle it because I'm only getting 20 materials back rather than the 40 I spent on building it. And so what Chiskel's point was in his video was that this is a very disappointing thing for whales to do, right? They've spent all this money building up this great gear, and then to build this new gear, they have to dismantle the old stuff and only get half of the materials back. And he talked about this as loss aversion, right? That one of the big things we want in life is to avoid loss, is to avoid a feeling of loss. And this is in fact very true. Quite frankly, earlier today, I was reading a tweet about some philosopher who said that happiness is the absence of pain. That you can't really like enhance happiness that much, but you can just achieve happiness when there's no pain around you or no pain in your experience. So I think it is a very valid point that Lilith should strive to avoid a feeling of loss for any part of their player base. And what Chiskel also emphasized, so here's the thing, man, I've listened to Chiskel for years, right? So like I pick up on like the key words he's using to make his point. And one of the other things he said over and over again was best customer. He kept saying, you can't have your best customers feeling disappointed about new equipment. You can't, leave a bad taste in the mouths of your best customers when this new system gets rolled out. Now, I want to make 2 points to push back. First of all, I'm not convinced that whales are always the best customers of this game, right? Sure, some whales are the best customers. But, I'm a player who has been a leader of an alliance for 5 years. And we have built this alliance from the ground up for 5 years. Lots of people play this game, and lots of people still play the game to this day because they have been part of this group for a very long time. They have built friendships, and we have had a lot of fun and a lot of success for a long time. I mean, how many people are still playing this game because me and Adinavo started this alliance and built it up over many years? How many thousands of dollars has been spent that otherwise would not have been spent if we did not build a successful alliance? So I would argue that I am also one of Lilith's best customers. I don't spend as much as every whale does, but I'm also someone who plays the game every day, engages in the chat every day, and has built a very big alliance. And so I don't agree that some whale who barely talks, buys resources, and sort of shows up for war is a better customer than me. So number one, I don't think we should be catering fully to whales, right? I don't think we should be catering fully to whales in this game. So yes, they are your best customers, but we should not fully cater to whales. And number two, I would say that when Chiskel is talking about loss aversion, when he says that it is all about loss aversion, loss aversion is like a complicated term. Yes, it is all about Chiskel's argument was that it is all about achieving loss aversion. I don't think it's just about that for his point of view. I think it is also, in his point of view, about making the equipment changes be as good as possible for the whales. Because what he is arguing is that we should just get rid of the dismantling penalty in the forge. Just like if we dismantle an object, give us all the materials back. If we dismantle a legendary object, give us all the materials back, and then, you know, let us build something new. Because then everyone will feel good about that. That's, you know, there's no loss there. There's absolutely no loss there. So everyone will just feel good about this new equipment they're building. Okay, that's true, and that's a very good point. But it is also, that suggestion, that proposal is also, by the way, the best possible outcome for whales. Because whales will get to just dismantle their old equipment, they'll very quickly buy new blueprints, and they will build this new equipment right away, and they will have an even bigger edge on everyone else than they have had in a very long time, right? It'll probably be the biggest edge whales have had since the original Crystal-Tech. Because Armaments did not come out that long ago. Armaments only came out like 6 months ago. Armaments gave a kind of nice edge to whales, and now new equipment will give an even bigger edge to whales. And so I think we need to think about whether we want this new equipment system to balance things a little bit in favor of the non-whales. And I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you a good example. Obviously, a player like Chiskel, he has like max legendary gear, and so he obviously has to dismantle some stuff to build the new gear. But then there's a player like I hope he's here. Oh, you know what? He messaged me recently, so I can show him that way. There's a player like Natsu, right? So Natsu's a pretty low spending player, but he has quite a bit of legendary gear at this point. You know, he's like a pretty high ranking champions of Olympia player. So a player like Natsu, if the new equipment system goes in as planned, where there is a dismantling penalty, that new system will essentially favor someone like Natsu more than it will favor a whale. Because for Natsu, he does not have full legendary gear. And so he can just go to building the new gear, but he can keep his old gear and pass it on to his 4th or 5th march. And so Natsu is not going to suffer the dismantle penalty, but a huge whale is going to suffer a huge dismantle penalty. And so the question I think we need to ask is, what is best for the game? Is it best for the game that the whales have the perfect upgrade experience where they feel no loss aversion and they get new equipment and feel very good about it? Or is it better for the game if whales suffer some penalty for having the best gear for the last 3 years, and then if they want to immediately still have the best gear, they have to suffer some sort of penalty for that in order to mitigate the significant advantage they will get from this new equipment? And I think this is a very tough question, quite frankly. I'm not saying that Chiskel's points are invalid. I think his point about loss aversion and his point about, you know, like, let's make this game as enjoyable as possible. Let's make people happy for not only the money they've spent in the game in the past, but also what they're doing in the game today. I think that's a very valid point. It's a very valid point. But we also have to think about the balance. We have to think about how much of an edge whales have. And so I think it's very valid to say, let's mitigate the advantage whales are going to get from this by punishing them a bit on their dismantles. And, you know, look, one thing you can, and so one thing you can say is that, listen, Brian, you knew what you signed up for when you signed up for this game. You knew this was a pay-to-win game. You knew that if you spent more money in this game, then you would be at a disadvantage to the players who spent a lot of money. But what I would counter to that argument is that Wales knew what they were getting into also. When Wales spent a lot of money and maxed out 7 marches with critted legendary gear, they did so knowing that someday there might be new equipment. So I don't think it's, a 100% clear argument to say that it's not fair to us that we're paying these dismantling penalties. Like, we spent our hard-earned money, and it's very frustrating to not be getting full value from the money that we spent. I mean, at the end of the day, how big of an advantage do Wales want to have in this game? They've gotten a big advantage from having maxed gear for a long time. They've won lots of KVKs and dominated the game for a long time with this current gear. Do they really need to have an instant beautiful advantage when this new equipment comes into the game? I don't know. I really don't know. And I think for me, as I thought about this issue today, I was just kind of getting a little bit frustrated about the game that I signed up for. I know I signed up for this game, but I'm not going to increase my spending. I'm just not going to increase my spending in this game. It would be, where I'm at in my life, it would be financially idiotic for me to increase my spending. I already spend too much on this game. And I do it in order to be competitive at the level that our team is at. And I think you do go down. Look, I'm not making a moral argument. I'm not making any argument other than what's best for the game. And I think when you go down this road of increasing the advantage that Wales have, I think you do risk the future of the game to some extent. Because games have done this before, this game Lords Mobile, right? Lords Mobile over the years has added more and more things that Wales have to spend on. And it's only the biggest spenders who do that. And, people get frustrated that they have to keep spending. Smaller spenders get frustrated that the gap between them and the whales has become so egregiously massive at this point. And Lords Mobile is just nowhere near as popular of a game as it used to be. And part of it is just because the company that makes it just has gouged their player base over the years. And I'm not saying that Lilith is gouging us, but this is the second big thing they've added in the last 8 months or so. And the nature of these games is that they have to keep adding more stuff. They have to keep adding more things for players to spend on. And I think over time, that tends to mean that Wales get a bigger and bigger advantage. And, that just, I'm just being honest, to me, that's just kind of a turn-off at this point. I'm just pretty turned off by that at this point. Because we played this game for so long, it's a very skill-based game from a team perspective, from a perspective of building your team, from the perspective of working with other people, from the perspective of executing during war. All of that is very skill-based in my opinion. And when you give the whales too big of an advantage, then that skill, the teamwork aspect goes away, and it just becomes all about the whales. And for me as a garrison leader, if I go into a KVK and I'm a garrison captain and the whale I'm playing against has 60% more stats when you combine slightly better crystal tech, better armaments, and better gear, Like, I just can't do anything against that. I cannot do anything when they have 60% more stats than I have. And at that point, it wrecks the war for not just me, but it wrecks the war for our entire alliance. And, you know, to be honest with you, our alliance has made a conscious decision, or our kingdom has made a conscious decision to get smaller. Because we have looked at what these big A kingdoms spend on the game. We have looked at the KP that a big, you know, really top like Imperium A kingdom has, and we're just like, you know what, we can't compete with that. We wish we could compete with that. We think we play the game just as intelligently as they do, but they just spend so much more than us that we cannot compete with them. And so we have to get smaller and play against people who are more likely to be at our spending level. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm thinking about this issue. I don't have I haven't arrived at a conclusion. I'm just trying to like put the issues out there as I see them. But let me look through the chat, because I know I've been ignoring the chat here, and I'm very curious what other people think about this issue, because I haven't talked about it with anybody. A Spark TV says if the new equipment stats are 30% attack, that's not doing much. And Stompy says, I bet they will have new accessories afterwards too. That's a good point. They also have not talked about new accessories. Accessories could add to that advantage. Spark TV says that Omni's video is rejecting my argument. I don't know. I haven't seen his video, so I'm not sure. What if they let you upgrade existing gear with new prints and mats instead of brand new gear from scratch? Yeah, I mean, they could do that. They can certainly come up with a good, smooth system where like we do have loss aversion and everyone feels good about like upgrading. But again, I'm just saying, like, if you do that, if you make a very good system with no loss aversion, then whales will have a bigger edge than if you create a system that does have some loss and does have some dismantling penalties. Only Farmer, welcome to the stream. Let's see what Hayden Mack is saying here. Why can't blueprints be the penalty then, not the materials? The thing with equipment and armaments is there is no showing of all the effort you put in. Commanders and such, you can see the track record and past expertise commanders, but dismantling is just like deleting half of your troops. Only Farmer says she went down in her spending as well. I haven't gone down, but I know people, certainly a lot of people have, and if I were doing the smart thing for my life, I would probably go down in spending a bit. Wiser One says, in my mind, there has to be a balance for the mid-low tier long-term player that doesn't restart a multi-year rebuild or vastly increase spending. Do I remember the original gear redo reset? Vaguely, but not really, Wiser, honestly. I remember like the talent tree resets. I remember when the talent trees changed to their current form, but I don't remember the gear. I don't quite remember the gear reset though. Hayden Max says, hasn't that been happening since the Crystal Tech was created though? Hayden, that's a great question, and you brought up something I wanted to add. So let's just talk about armaments versus the new gear system. To me, armaments are a very good system, right? Because to me, armaments, they kind of did punish whales in a way, because whales had to spend a lot of money to get top tier armaments, you know, and so like, yes, you as a whale, you could get a nice advantage from armaments. Like I said, Yoda probably has 54% of stats on his Archer Rally, whereas I have 27% of stats on my Cav Garrison. So like Yoda's getting, and I'm a little bit below average there. So yes, Yoda spent a lot of money and got a 25% stat advantage on me. But the thing is, he spent a lot of money to do that. And other whales are not at Yoda's level. You know, an average whale probably only has like 15% of stats advantage on me. And so the whales had to choose to spend a lot of money, and there was a luck element to it. And there's also a bit of a skill element to it in terms of, you know, what you use your transmutation stones on. Like I see, quite frankly, I see people making mistakes with their transmutation stones. Either they use them on the wrong inscriptions, or I think sometimes people don't lock inscriptions that they should, or don't lock stat lines that they should, right? So there's a bit of skill to the armament game. There's a bit of skill in like understanding what to keep and such. And so to me, armaments were a good thing because as they were giving whales an advantage, they were also kind of punishing the whales for it, right? And so armaments were a change that the game could absorb. Like from a balance perspective, we can absorb that change. And you see Algebra in the chat, he's saying armaments are the worst. RNG based, in my opinion. And Algebra is a whale. And Algebra, I am curious what you think about this, what I'm saying. Because I was thinking about it beforehand. I was like, you know, who's going to be in the chat tonight? You know, who's going to have interesting things to say about this? Because I know I'm presenting like one point of view, and people can certainly disagree with my point of view. You know, so like Algebra's a whale, and he's saying like, yeah, armaments were a pain in the ass. They were not worth the money. You know, Algebra probably feels bad about some of the money he spent on armaments. And I respect that. Like, I totally respect that. I totally respect what like Chiskel is saying about don't make people spend money in this game that they feel bad about spending. That's like that's a very reasonable argument. Very, very reasonable. But as like a lower spender, but as someone who like does like play a role in like the outcome of wars, I'm just like, how much of an advantage are we going to give these whales? Like, and where's the game going to go when whales have this big of an advantage? Like, is it just going to be all about, you know, is it going to be all about whale counts? Is it going to be all about how good the whale counts in your kingdom are? Because here's the thing, right? Because this was something I figured would happen with just armaments. Forget about equipment for a second. Forget about all this new equipment we're going to have to make. When armaments came out and people started building really good armament sets, what I knew would happen is that in each kingdom, there would be certain accounts that had really, really good armaments. You would have a few players who actually spent a ton of money. And guess what's going to happen in those kingdoms? A bunch of people are going to be given access to those accounts. Those accounts are going to get piloted 24/7. They're going to rally 24/7. They're going to garrison 24/7. And they're going to have a massive, massive impact on every war because their account has such a statistical advantage against other people. And so then at that point, like what matters? What determines what the best kingdom is? What determines what skill means in this game? At that point, all that matters is how strong are your best whales, and do they let people pilot their accounts? And when you get to that point, this game becomes way, way, way less interesting than it is today. And something I heard in Chiskel's video today was he said Lilith gives us cues about what we should be emotionally invested in. They have given us a cue that we should be emotionally invested in equipment, and then it's just like wrong for them to then sort of like make us feel bad about that thing that we have become emotionally invested in. And when I heard him say that, I immediately thought to myself, I have been emotionally invested in the skill of this game. I have been emotionally invested in the teamwork of this game. And when Lilith gives whales massive advantages, I then feel that my emotional investment in the skill-based, teamwork-based side of this game is being taken advantage of, or being, you know, mishandled by Lilith. So, I mean, I just think there's two sides to this. I think there's very much two sides to this issue. But let's see what y'all have to say. Alloy says new equipment could be fun if they give back iconics and 100% materials. Yeah, Allies, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I sometimes think the punishment is good. You know, I think restrictions are good. I mean, I think action points are good, right? Like, wouldn't it be fun if we could just like kill barbarians all day? Sure, it would be fun if we could kill barbarians all day, but the action point system, it is a balance against nerds who live in their mom's basement, who, if there was no action point system, would literally kill barbs all day and be stronger at the game than people who have a life, right? So sometimes restrictions are good. Restrictions can be good. Restrictions can bring balance. Ally says it still costs a ton for the new BPs. Ally says, I don't think 30% better stats on the new equipment will break the game. Yeah, but what about after critting it, Alloys? Okay, I mean, so when I say 30%, I may be being a bit misleading, because obviously like someone like me will build some of this stuff. Like, I'll build some of it. So Alloys, you make a good point by saying that the 30% might not be that bad, because even if like they're getting 50% better stats, I'm still building some and getting 25% better stats. So maybe it's another 25% edge, which is about the same as the armament edge. But I mean, when you combine armaments at 25% edge and new equipment at 25% edge and crystal tech at maybe another 5 to 10% edge, all of a sudden you're talking about like 55 to 60% edge. And so like, I definitely can't compete against like a true whale at that point, right? A true Imperium level whale. At that point, I just can't compete against them, right? Okay, that's fine. I don't play in an Imperium kingdom, so you know, maybe I can survive that in some wars. But there will also be wars where there's like 1 or 2 players on my opposition in the opposing army who are Imperium level whales playing in a kingdom. And if they have 50% more stats than me, then I don't think I can do anything against them. Hayden says 200 to 500 a month fits my budget much better than like 2K a month. Oh yeah, so Hayden, you seem, yeah, you were definitely a former whale, but now you're a dolphin. I'd say 200 to 500 a month is still a whale, Hayden. And Hayden says, I don't mind armaments. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Let's see, Algebra says, I just started whaling 6 months ago. Will probably tone down soon. As a new whale who just made his first full crit set, I feel pretty gutted. As for armaments, I think luck gambling is just bad. Yeah, so Algebra is giving a very good point of view here, right? There's not, you know, I'm kind of giving like I'm giving sort of 2 black and white examples. I'm giving like I'm sort of like comparing myself to Chiskel or something like that. But there are also people like in the middle of that, like Algebra, who like, yeah, they've spent at various points in the game. At times they become more passionate about the game, and then they spent a lot in a small amount of time to sort of catch up or get to the level they want to get to. And you have to respect those people's investments as well, right? So I mean, it's a tough issue, right? But I hope that someone like Algebra can, in the same way that I understand Algebra's point of view, where like he would be gutted if he just built a full first crit set, and then like, because yeah, we can't, like, honestly, like, here's the thing, right? Like I'm gonna be punished. Like, look, I'm not really talking my own book here, because I am going to be punished by a dismantling system as well. I will be very badly punished by a dismantling system, because I put all my materials into a single set of optimal gear, right? So for me personally, it would be better to like have that smooth transition where there's no dismantling penalty. But I hope that someone like Algebra can see that, you know, all I'm really arguing for are like the balance of the game. I'm just trying to like I'm just saying that like, let's not give the whales too big of an advantage, because like that could imbalance the game in like a very negative way. And I'm not saying I have the numbers exactly right. I'm not saying I know for sure that like this would imbalance the game too much, but I'm just saying let's consider all the variables as we talk about this issue. Ella says open field will still be important. My gear has always been behind and I do great. Yeah, open field will still be important. It will. It will. I mean, this kind of patch would make me want to just play Orleans over and over again, where it's not all about rallies and garrisons. I mean, the new equipment would really turn me off to like Strife of the Eight, because like, you know, it's just such a rally garrison meta there, and rallies tend to have a disadvantage against the garrison, and so like we could just run into a situation in Strife of the Eight where like there's just a garrison captain with extremely good gear and extremely good armaments, and we would just have no ability whatsoever to ever like get a good trade against their flag. The reason I've been like sitting on my city here and looking at this flag is because I'm like remembering an old KVK where there was like this one guy in 1682 who had just like a very, very strong Zenobia garrison, and we just there was no way we could get a good trade against him. Like it was just not possible for us to get a positive trade with the rally. We definitely should have swarmed him more, but it just like stopped us in our tracks. It was so annoying. It was like we would like bring a lot of people online. It would be our uptime, and this one player would just sit his Zeno Flavius in a flag, and like it would just stop us. It would stop us dead in our tracks for the entire night while the rest of his team slept. And that is when ROK becomes really aggravating. And we've had that a couple times in our lives where like the enemy just had super strong garrisons during their downtime and we could not burn their flags. Now, granted, we did not know as much about swarming back then, but I'm just saying, it was really freaking aggravating. Ally says, we should be happy it's taken this long for new equipment. Most games like this would have put new gear out a year ago or more. That is a fair point as well. But the thing is, Lilith has always been good. Like, Lilith has not really gouged its players. Lilith has kept pretty good balance most of the time in this game. And, okay, they've been good so far, but I think we still have to check them every step of the way so that they don't wreck us and themselves. And I'm a little bit nervous with this one. Like, why do they have to make it 30%? Why do they have to make the new gear 30% better? You know, the jump from level 50 to level 55 is not that big. It's not really that big, you know? I mean, maybe it's the same as armaments, but like, when I think about how many materials the whales have saved up at this point, like where they've maxed their gear and they've just been saving their materials for a while, I think that getting the 25% statistical edge in equipment on their rallies and garrisons is going to be way, way cheaper than getting that same edge was for armaments. I think it's going to be a lot cheaper for whales to do that. Weiser says, but you're talking in a 1v1 scenario and not a teamwork scenario or murder ball scenario. If you have a Kraken and they are fighting, low spending younger accounts that have some tier 4, still some epics, yeah, they are going to get smashed. Natsu, honestly, I hate it. I built 5 DB sets just to get crit, but now those crit won't mean as much as they did, and I wasted my time and money on it. Oh, Natsu, you are the example I used for someone who this system would help. Because I didn't realize you had that many good sets. I thought you could just build the new stuff and pass your other gear down to your other marches. Hayden Max says, if you are building a single crit set, I think you should just keep the set, just buy new materials and go for the new stuff with new materials. You can put the older gear on your 7th march. You don't always have to dismantle the old stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Like, I'm not dismantling this. Like, there's no way I'm dismantling this stuff. I mean, there's just no way I'm dismantling this stuff. No chance. No freaking chance. So I'm just going to have to gradually build a new set. I'm going to have to gradually replace the stuff in this set. I mean, this stuff will still be good, right? Like, the Ash of the Dawn will still be good. You know, the new one will probably give, like, the new critted one. So this gives 16% at crit. So the new one will probably give like 16% base and 21% when critted. So, you know, the new piece is going to be 5% better. It's not death, right? It's not, I'm not dead having this instead. But I mean, for me personally, right? It's like, I'm not going to be able to, you know, my plan was to build archer gear, right? I was going to build a bunch of cheap legendaries to put my excess iconics on. Because I have 5 iconics right now that need to be put on legendary gear. And so I was going to build a bunch of cheap legendaries and get those iconics used. But now I'm going to have to just refocus immediately on building a new best in slot cavalry set. Now at this point I'm just complaining about myself, and it's not about me, it's about the balance of the game. So like, whatever. That's just Garrison player life right there. But Aldra says, I agree, whales should not have too big an advantage, perhaps tone down on the stat increase. Armament rerolling reminds me of Lost Ark RNG in Gear Bracelets honing. I left that game for a reason. My goal is to create the ultimate infantry garrison myself. Alloy says, yeah, swarming meta has changed things, realizing garrisons aren't as OP and important as long as you have people who will swarm with good tech. If you're worried about OP garrisons, just play Siege of Orleans. Most players won't have to dismantle much for a long time. Yeah, so I mean, if most people don't have to dismantle stuff, then is it really that important that we remove the dismantling penalty to help the biggest whales in the game? I mean, what Allies is saying, that most people won't have to dismantle much, is sort of like allowing me to clarify my question, or like simplify my question. If most players don't have to dismantle that much, then should we really remove the dismantling penalty for the best customers in the game? I mean, that's the question. That is literally the question. I'll repeat it because that literally is the question. If most people won't have to dismantle for a long time, then should we remove the dismantling penalty for the best customers in the game? That's it. That's the question. And I think that's a very tough question to answer, because there are very good arguments on both sides. And if anything, the argument on the let's avoid loss aversion, let's keep our best customers happy, if anything, the argument on that side is a bit more cogent, straightforward, and takes less time to articulate than the argument I'm making about balance and let's be careful about how big an advantage we give to whales. Hayden says, I think big picture, free-to-play don't care. They will still make the new stuff and mix and match people. The mega whales probably don't care. They were going to buy the newest stuff anyways. The biggest hit is the middle players, the ones who pick and choose here and there for value. These players are getting the worst deal. Yeah, I mean, there's something in what Hayden is saying that I was thinking about also, which is just like, you know, I mean, we don't want this game to be like Lost Ark or Black Desert or something, where like the individual player is like an army unto himself, and they just like make so many decisions with their own account, and they do so much to grind their own account that like they are sort of like they're a superhero, right? That like their choices and the journey they went through in the game, it kind of like they've like done so much to make themselves extremely powerful in the game because of all the choices and all the things they've done. We don't want to do that in Rise of Kingdoms, but at the same time, I'm sort of like sitting here and I'm like, man, like I can't really like do anything to like separate myself from everybody else, you know? Like I just am kind of like, I'm just kind of like where I am, you know? Like I can like spend more money and then I'll be better at the game, or like I won't spend that much money and then I just won't be that good at the game. And like there's just like not that much in between there, right? Like, it's not like you decide which gear to build, right? It's not like you. It's not like there's any sort of choices where like you make good gear choices or bad gear choices. You just sort of like upgrade to the best. You just build the best stuff. Like, new gear comes out, you build the new stuff. Like, it's just kind of like that simple. You know, even with like Friend.Tech, it's like you just like max the I mean, there's a few choices with Friend.Tech, right? I kind of like that there's a couple choices with Friend.Tech where you can decide to either like focus on all damage or focus on troop capacity or focus on reduced healing cost. You know, I like that there's a bit of a choice with Friend.Tech. And with armaments, there's like a tiny bit of skill with the transmutation stones, but it's very minimal. Like, the ability to like make your account better outside of spending money is like pretty minimal, I would say. Like, from a choice perspective, like, yes, you can grind, you can like chain barbs and grind and stuff, and that will make your account a little bit better. But like, you don't really make many choices. Like, you don't make any skill-based choices about like how to make your account better, right? And I think that's a little bit where ROK is lacking. Like, we don't get to make skill-based choices that can potentially improve our account or make our account worse. I mean, you used to make skill-based choices with commanders, right? Like, Lord knows I made some idiotic skill-based choices to build Khan, or to build Takeda, to skip Alex, to skip Saladin for a long time. Like, I made a bunch of bad decisions with my commanders early in the game, and that affected my success as a player. But at this point, it's like pretty obvious. Like, for the most part, it's pretty obvious. Like, you build Zug, you build Boudica, you build Nevsky, you build Scipio. Like, it's just not that complicated. There's not that much skill to any of the choices you make with commanders either. And so like when they bring out this new equipment system, and there's really no skill to the new equipment system, you just like build better equipment. Like, just build better equipment. And so I don't know, like, they could have come up with a new system and a new reason to spend that had a bit more skill to it. You know, they could have done something like the familiar system in Lords Mobile, where there's like these like kind of quality of life upgrades you can make, or you can do things like you can in Lords Mobile, basically you have these familiar skills, and some of the skills allow you to like shoot something at the enemy. Like, you can like shoot like a frost nova at another city, and then that will make them move like slightly slower. Or like, you can shoot like a Bon Appetit or something at an enemy city, and that will make them like take slightly more severely woundeds or deads when in a trade. So like, they could have done like a different system that had a bit of choice to it, but instead they just like made better equipment that everyone's just gonna build. Aloy says, I spend 200 to 300 a month and I can still get 1 to 2 billion KP a KVK. I mean, yeah, Aloy, I'm not saying that like the game is going to be not fun for most players, but I'm saying that from like a kingdom perspective, if it's only like 3 to 5 whales who are mainly deciding the outcome of wars. I mean, here's the question. Here's the question for you, Alloys. Who do you think should have more impact on a war? The best 3 whales in a kingdom, or the best 3 leaders in a kingdom? I mean, that's for anybody. Who should have more of an impact on the outcome of a war? The 3 best leaders in a kingdom, or the 3 strongest whales in a kingdom? And while you think about that one, I'm going to grab... Actually, I have 1 beer. I'm going to crack open that beer. I am obviously not unhinged enough tonight. I definitely need some liquid courage to really get me going, right? Nate says the 3 best leaders. Hayden says a mix of both. I mean, yeah, it's always going to be a mix of both. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's just like just a thought experiment, basically, right? Like, which is more important, the whales or the leaders? Algebra says it would be cool to have some PvE that's challenging and has some real rewards, like a raid with solo team modes. Yeah. I mean, I think, like, at the end of the day, like an event like Soroli or Champions of Olympia, like, I mean, people might think those events are annoying, but, like, at the end of the day, I think that's, like, a pretty decent direction to go with some things. Where it's like, there's, like, a bit of skill, right? Like, you know, if you're a bit more skillful at Soroli, then you can do Legendary Mode, and you can get, like, some pretty significantly better rewards for doing Legendary Mode. And so there's, like, individual skill and teamwork skill in Soroli, and that individual and teamwork skill gets rewarded pretty, like, reasonably, you know? So, yeah, I kind of am, I'm kind of trying to say that what Algebra is saying. Like, let's have a bit more skill in the account building and the account choice process. Alice says, my perspective from a huge kingdom is weird. We have too many whales, lol. Hayden says, I think everyone is just seeing the gap widen and skill has become too small. I think skill has mostly been in a good place for the lifetime of this game. Like, I think for a pay-to-win game, this game is pretty skill-based and pretty hardcore. Like, I can't complain about it, right? Like, I've played this game for 5 years. I've dedicated, like, quite frankly, I've played this game longer than I've played any other game in my life. And I've dedicated, like, more time and energy to this game than any other game in my life. And I'm saying that as a lifelong gamer who's played a lot of games very seriously, including, like, I was a former professional esports player. Like, I've spent more time in this game than any other game in my life. So, like, it's been good. The balance between the amount of skill has been good, but I've seen it get out of whack a few times. Like, it got out of whack with the original Crystal Tech. I think it got out of whack when, like, Amanatori Artemisia was, like, super OP, and we were too stupid to swarm it. It's just been a little bit out of whack a few times, and I think now we're at, like, a point where it could get out of whack again, and that's just, like, really bad, you know? Because it's been good for so long. This game has been well-tuned for so long that we, like, need to keep it well-tuned. Hayden says it would be nice to have it be skill-based, to have skill-based be the leaders. At the same time, Lilith wants to make money, right? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the reason I'm saying it's a tipping point is because the natural evolution of these games is that the company has to keep making money, and the company is incentivized to keep coming out with new reasons to spend. And unfortunately, that does bad things for the balance in the long run. Like, it's just hard to keep those two things in check. It's hard to keep the game nicely balanced between free-to-play, low spenders, and whales, but also have the company feel very good about the amount of money they're making. The company is always going to want to give the whales more of an advantage, because when you give whales more of an advantage, they make more money. But, like, Lilith can learn from other games. Lilith can learn from Lords Mobile. One reason Lords Mobile is dying is because Rise of Kingdoms is a better game, but the other reason Lords Mobile is dying is because they over-monetized the game and they made it a pure whale game. Like, the only people who have, like, any real impact in Lords Mobile are, like, the 2 or 3 biggest whales in an alliance, and the only people who have an impact on, like, the worldwide stage are, like, the dozen people who spend an absolute crap ton of money in that game, right? And I'm gonna be real here, guys. and I hope this is an example. I hope I'm giving you guys an example of like what it is to be intellectually honest, because I'm arguing against my own points a lot here. One of the things that here, as we're talking about this, I'm just going to go to one of these KBKs in case there's any action here. I appreciate everybody tuning in and participating. I'm glad we were able to have like a really good conversation about this. Because I did have things to say, but like at the end of the day, it's about like what we all think. And the way we have good conversations is by a lot of people putting their points in, and then we can bounce ideas off each other. There's just like nothing going on, huh? Yeah, these guys are all like taking a nap before things kick off. Anyway, one of the things that Lilith has done very well compared to Lords Mobile is that in Lords Mobile, to be like a truly impactful endgame player, you have to spend a massive amount of money. And so at the end of the day, there's only like maybe like 20 accounts in Lords Mobile who has like a true impact on like the competitive endgame. Whereas like in Rise of Kingdoms, even if they implement all the changes, even if they remove the dismantling penalty, add new equipment, it's 30% more stats, even if they do all of those things, it's still going to cost way less to be an endgame whale in ROK than it costs in Lords Mobile. Way less, right? And so in that sense, Lilith is making it so that more people can be an endgame whale. And that is a good thing. That is undoubtedly a good thing. Because, you know, this equipment's not going to cost that much. You know, like, people are already have been saving their materials for a long time. So, like, I think whales are not going to have to spend all that much money to stay on the bleeding edge. And says, how many games allow teams of players to play a single account, get banned for that in other games? Pilots are widespread in Lords Mobile as well. Pilots are completely widespread in Lords Mobile. I mean, but pilots do make this a bigger problem, right? Pilots do make this a bigger problem because, you know, the whale accounts can just be run by pilots. I mean, people might even pool their spending. They might even pool their spending on a single account and have like one person play 12 hours a day and have the other person play the other 12 hours a day or something. And so, yeah, when you combine pilots, look, when you combine pilots plus a new equipment system plus armaments, when you combine those three things, it becomes less of a team-oriented game. It becomes less of a leadership-based game. It becomes less of a vibes-based game, and it becomes more about those half dozen accounts and those 15 or so players plus pilots, and that's the nucleus that determines wars. And let's be real, this is a better game when 80 people determine a war than when 15 people determine a war. The more people who have an influence on the outcome of the war, the better. And where the game is moving right now is that less people will have an impact on who wins the war. And that's a bad thing. I think we can all agree that that's a bad thing. Algebra says, how would you define skill? Like your open field kills to wounded ratio? I mean, personally, I'm thinking about skill from like a leadership perspective, and then from a player perspective, skill is like being reactive to what needs to get done, being reactive to what like the leaders say to do. It's obviously your open field fighting is a big skill in the game, but it's also like how much time you spend being online, right? Like how much time you spend playing, how you're able to balance your real life and sleep with also playing. I would say that is a big part of skill. And again, when you have pilots, that part of the skill equation gets diminished. Mr. George says, do you think we shouldn't forge anything right now? Yeah, I would not forge anything. And I mean, we have Hunt for History going right now. Oh, I only have 24 hammers, so I can't really... I probably shouldn't do this anyway. Yeah, so I would probably not do Hunt for History, because like you want to get the blueprints. Like you really want to be thinking about the blueprints right now. And so like you want to get the new blueprints for sure. So I mean, the thing is, like, I wish there would be like a reason to maybe still build like the old stuff. But it sounds like the new equipment is just gonna like make it so that like you're never gonna want to build the old stuff ever again. And again, that's like a pretty like suboptimal new system, right? Like to completely invalidate the old stuff is like relatively suboptimal in this type of a game, I would say. And look, someone listening to this, someone listening to my rant, what someone could be thinking is they could be thinking, dude, just accept reality. Like, this is the direction that things go. Like, stop, you know, stop like pining for the old days. Stop, you know, stop ignoring what reality is. Like, pellets are a part of the game. New equipment was inevitable. You know, stop whining about things that you can't do anything about. Like, if I can't do anything about pilots and I can't do anything about new equipment, then I should literally just like adjust and learn to deal with the new reality as best I can. And that is a very valid argument, right? Like, if I'm just whining about things that can't be changed, then I'm literally just wasting my time and everybody else's time. But I think, you know, on some level, let's try to have these conversations about these big changes. Whether it does anything, you know, whether this affects Lilith in any way or not, hey, I have no idea. I would assume that no one from Lilith watches my streams, and it would be unlikely that anybody from Lilith is going to stumble onto this one in particular. But who knows? I mean, I'm just trying to get people to think about certain things, and I also want to hear what other people have to say. And, you know, if nothing else, I think it's interesting to talk about these changes because it gets us to explore various aspects of this game that we all enjoy playing. Natsu, good to hear that you're going to be spending again. Hayden says maybe they should ditch Kingdom versus Kingdom and do it Alliance versus Alliance. Matchmaking will be much more frequent. Players would have more impact. Well, I mean, I think building kingdoms is like one of the more interesting things about the game, right? Like, I think building a kingdom is like super interesting, you know? I mean, that's one of the more like rewarding aspects of the game, is that you can build something much bigger than yourself and that you actually have a home, right? Like, if this game was Alliance versus Alliance, then like the home that we have built as a kingdom would just like have less meaning. But like at the end of the day, we've built a home here, and you know, first of all, having a successful kingdom does not generate for us any in-game advantage. It's not like we can gather more resources. It's not like we can gather resources faster. It's not like we have some extra shrine that we built because we won 4 KVKs. There's no in-game advantage to having a strong kingdom other than the fact that you are that strong kingdom, and then therefore you have like a more fun experience and you win more wars. And so the value of our kingdom only exists in the players and the alliances that are here. That's the entirety of the value of our kingdom. All the effort we've put into building this kingdom, all that we have to show for it is the players and the groups that are here. And so I think when you make it Alliance versus Alliance rather than Kingdom versus Kingdom, I don't think that's a good direction to go, because I really appreciate the value of what we have built, because it does have actual value, because we've brought in a bunch of good players, you know? True, but I think MNF, Match Not Found, is a serious problem, and I think it is matchmaking based. It's easier to create fair fights when you can matchmake easier. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe the game's just getting more complex, right? Like, did we always have these many issues? Did we always have this many problems? Maybe we did. Maybe we did. Maybe we have always had like this many. Maybe this many things. I'm forgetting the analogy or the metaphor. It's like in the air. Maybe we had so many pots in the air, or whatever it is. Maybe we've always had this many plates, this many spinning plates at once. But it's only because this game is really good. It's only because this game is the first of its kind and it's really good. And, you know, we just want it to we want it to remain good. We've put a lot of years of our life into this game and we don't want it to get worse. You know? I mean, I'm a ROK YouTube content creator now. I'm not going to be able to quit this game easily. And nor do I have any plans on quitting it, you know? So if I'm going to be here, I want the game to be as good as it possibly can be. Stompy says save hammers. Yeah, I'm just going to save. All right, everybody be sure to throw a like on the stream. That'll be a good way to get more people in here. Thank you again to Black Panther for becoming a member and for the $5 dono. I really appreciate that support. Very cool. Thank you for all the members in the channel as well. Alloys, Algebra. I don't know if there's been any other members here tonight. I think it's just you guys, but I really appreciate you all being here. Really appreciate the chat. We still have Champions of Olympia to play later, and we do need to go over the Osiris League bets. Let me open up my armaments real quick. I have like almost none, so we can do this very quickly. I'm sticking with arch formation for now, but I did have kind of a revelation or just a conclusion, which is that the hunter inscription is so much better than the destructive inscription. I mean, it is so much better. Where destructive is literally like maybe 4% of stats. I'm gonna say destructive is 4% of stats, and hunter is like 14% of stats. So like just on the inscriptions alone, the wedge formation is like 10% of stats better. I am gonna have to start doing wedge soon, but at this point I just need to make my cav garrison better, and so until my cav garrison gets better, we are just gonna keep opening arch formation. All right, the streamer luck continues. For those who are unaware, I have had amazing luck on armaments. I have definitely run well above expectations in my lifetime. I've got, I think, 4 double inscriptions despite spending very little. And even in this purple chest here, these 5 purple chests that I opened, I did get a legendary inscription. And let's just take a look at it. Is this any good? 2.2? No, it's no. And it's archers. It's archers. Everything is archers. I think ward is quite good. Yeah, ward is quite good. So this is 4% of archer stats plus whatever ward is worth, which it's taking 5% less damage for 3 seconds every time it casts an active skill. And it's a 5-second cooldown. So it's just the one time every skill cycle. But basically, about 3 out of every 8 seconds, or maybe like 3 out of every 9 seconds, you're getting 5% less damage. So this is maybe a third of the time. So it's 5% less damage, which is like 12.5% of stats, divided by 3. That's like 4% of stats. So this is like an 8.5% armament. That's quite good. That's quite good. 8.5% armament. That's exactly what I need. That's exactly what I needed for my Cav garrison. But of course, I got it as archers instead, because Lilith just be that way. All right. Nothing there. Let's quickly take a look and see if that's an upgrade on my Boudica. My Boudica already has quite good armaments. And so, yeah, see, my Boudica already has like really nice, a really nice inscription where I might even, or a really nice armament where I might even put the destructive on this. So this is the issue. This is the very frustrating issue, that this is like not really even better, right? This is 5%, 7.6%, 9.2% of stats. We said this was 8.5%. Adrian wants me to transmute it immediately. I'll transmute it once, Adrian, but like, I'm not really upgrading anything, man. This is 8.5, this is 9.2 without an inscription. Like, this is kind of a waste of a transmutation stone, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna throw a destructive inscription on here sooner or later. And then this one is gonna like be better than this, even if I get an archer roll here. So, I mean, Adrian, just because you're such a good supporter, I will use one stone on it, but it's not the best stone I've ever used. Like, isn't this is kind of aggravating, right? This is like the best. This is like an amazing armament, but it's like not an upgrade. Oh, to get Cav stats. Well, Adrian, I have some other armaments that I can roll, I think. I think I have... So what did we say that was, the ward? We said the ward was 4.5% of stats? That might be the best one I have, actually. You might be right. That might be the best inscription I can roll for Cav. Because I was going to roll this, right? This is 3.5% of stats. So I can roll this for Cav. Or I can roll this. You know. I'll give it one try. I'll give it one shot. I'll just give it one shot right now. Nope. Ooh, you know what? I should have checked this ahead of time. Would this be good for infantry? I didn't even check. I didn't even check if this would be good for infantry. I mean, if it's not a, if it's not an upgrade, if it's not an upgrade for Boudica, then I should probably just replace this. Like, as crazy as this looks, I should just replace this. I don't think this is gonna work for, I don't think this is gonna work for infantry though, because like my Guan has like a really good armament in the scroll slot. I'm going to replace this just because the infantry roll is so good. Yeah, I'm gonna replace this. But I like this is like, the thing is, I have a really good armament on my Guan. Guan has my best set. I've done the best with my Guan. Yeah, see, I have this Phalanx. Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, this is an interesting one. I'm not gonna sit on this for like way too long here, but this is an interesting comparison here, because it's like really hard to assess how good of a inscription this is for Guan, because it does like it does generate a shield sometime, or it sometimes will proc a shield at a time when like Scipio's shield is not being generated. So it's like really hard to assess the value of this particular inscription on Guan. But this is 8% of stats right here. Like already this is 8% of stats. Whereas this is like 3.2 plus Phalanx. I could buy that this is better. I could buy that this is better. And it has room to improve, so. All right, so that's the extent of the armaments for tonight. Pretty lucky. No complaints there. Let's go ahead and go over the Osiris League bets. I do want to say that I forgot to bet last week. I just completely forgot to bet. So I know people made like a ton of money on my bets last week, but I just forgot to bet. But like I deserve credit for my bets. I don't know that I still have the maybe I do actually. I think I have. I'll show my bets from last week. For those who weren't here, in case you somehow don't believe me and think I'm lying about having really good bets last week. I do have those. I do have those from here. How can I do this? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so here's my bets from last week. Is this right? Yeah. So, I mean, I hit some of these. I mean, I hit the 93T bet. I'm pretty sure 84OF won. I hit the 1EE bet. I hit the 89N bet, right? This was a really good bet, the 89N bet. And then I just, you know, bet 30% on 60GT. So like I did really, really good last week. It was probably like my best week of picks. But of course I forgot to bet. But hopefully other people got rich. And, you know, if you've been following my stream semi-regularly this season, then you have enough Oryx to essentially buy out the shop. And the bets are definitely getting more difficult at this point. I mean, before I spend some of my Oryx on the key items in the shop, let's look over these bets and see if there's any real edge here. I think certainly we're going to have to bet something on 93T. I mean, I can just see straight away that 93T versus 1V feels like a good. I mean, this feels like a very good bet at this stage. In the semifinals, the bets are pretty tough because like everyone has a lot of knowledge about the teams. But 93T looks like a very good bet. 84OF against JST. I didn't watch either of these teams play much last week. I might have watched JST very briefly. Actually, I did watch JST. I watched JST a fair bit. But I cannot remember what I thought about this match. But they had like a nice win against 188. I think it was like a fairly close match, if I'm not wrong. I feel like it was fairly close. In Anubis, I watched 1EE against SV68. They had a kind of an interesting mid-steal where they like looped around and stole one of the arcs from SV68. Like SV68 won the mid-fight, but then 1EE like looped around and like they made a huge open field. Like they didn't focus on buildings. They just like made sort of this like YOLO play to steal the arc, and they sent like everybody back to mid, and they did it in a sneaky way where they came in from the SV68 side, and they actually managed to get that arc. I think SV68 was probably like a little bit slow to tell everyone to go mid again. Like SV68, it seemed like SV68 was trying to do both at once. They were trying to like do well on the sides and secure the arc, but like 1EE made a very aggressive play and stole one of the arcs, which I think ultimately determined that match. So I don't know that 1EE is like amazing considering they did like lose some of the mid fights. I could kind of see betting on 2377 here. Because yeah, I think SJ32 did pretty well in I think SJ32 did well in Arc. I think they came very close to Wib, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember who they played though. They came very close to some like pretty good team, but I mean, maybe we make a small bet on AO77. Maybe you could bet on 60GT if you want to, and then we can bet on 89N. We can definitely bet on 89N this week. I think this is where a lot of the players from Blackjack are from. They beat 89VC last week. And so they should not be this big of an underdog against 89 CG. 89 CG is sort of like the betters are being blinded by the former champion tag on 89 CG. They won? 2489 won Osiris League already? Like, before Buzz Group migrated in? How have I not realized that up before now? Anyway. Oh, sorry, I missed a bit of the chat here. Stummy says, do an armaments guide of which one are good or not. Yeah, somebody else suggested that I rank the inscriptions, which I thought was an interesting idea. Hayden says, it would be cool if we could do mock battles like Ark of Osiris practice, but just 1v1 and we could input stats to test things easily. Yeah, I was thinking about, you know what I was thinking about, Hayden? I was thinking about how, what if you could do like pick up Osiris Ark games, right? Where like you just like join as an individual and you just get matched with like 29 other people, or maybe even like there's captains and the captains pick the 29 other players like very, very quickly, right? You have like maybe 10 seconds to pick somebody or whatever. I think it would be very interesting to do pick up Ark of Osiris games. I think that would be pretty freaking fun, actually. Like make the rewards like pretty minor, like make it so that really you can get most of the rewards for literally doing like one pick up Ark match a week. But I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be honestly pretty cool to play Ark with like a completely random group and just like try to work it out on the fly, basically, about how you're gonna play. I mean, it would be like aggravating, but you would like get to play with a lot of like people that you have not played with before. Maybe they could have a built-in in-game chat with that as well. It would just be like a way to get to know more people. Is that possible? If anybody can still hear me, please say so in chat. It would be kind of amazing if I'm still streaming somehow, like if it's still the same stream. But who knows? Working now. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, that's cool. I mean, it looks like I lost most of the viewers, but I was going to restart it anyway, so nice to have a few of you still here. Nice to have all the likes and stuff. Yeah, I've been having some PC issues where like my PC takes a while to like start booting up. Like I'll hit the power button and it won't boot up at first, and then either I have to push the button again or like 30 seconds later it will boot up. And so I've just been I've just kept it on for like the last 4 days because I was working and I didn't want to have like, you know, I didn't want to like wake up one morning and have my computer not be working, because that would just like be a real problem. But yeah, it just like crashed. Just like it didn't like, it was weird. Like the PC didn't crash. Like my computer was still running, but like my monitor shut off and like my keyboard stopped responding and stuff. It was weird. I've like never had exactly that happen before. But I think maybe like maybe one of the sticks of RAM that I put in the computer, maybe one of the sticks is like a little bit loose or something, and it's just like not booting up exactly properly. Because like the computer runs fine, it's just like the boot up is bad, and then it obviously had that very, very weird crash there. Very weird crash. I mean, I've literally been a PC user for 30 years, and I don't know that I've ever had a crash quite like that, where the computer was still running, or at least like all the lights were still on and the fan was still turning, and yet the computer had stopped working and the monitor shut off. Very interesting. Anyway, let's get to these Osiris League bets here. So there are some things we can bet on, but at the same time, I am gonna like buy a few things in the shop that are just like very like obviously worthwhile to get. I'm just gonna buy all these. I'm going to buy these. And then what would these cost? 3,000? Yeah, I think I'll buy all these also. All right, so I've got like 8K left. That's enough to gamble with. That's enough to make it interesting. Hayden says, I haven't turned my computer off in 6 years. Sounds like a cable is loose or your hard drive SSD isn't seated correctly. Yeah, it could be a loose cable. It could definitely be a loose cable. I need to check that. The hard drive SSD not being seated correctly would be weird only because I've never moved it, and I definitely haven't like jostled the computer or anything. But yeah, I need to check it out. It could be a loose cable. Like, I am definitely the weirdo who like would rather just leave my computer on for 4 days, knowing there's an issue, than just take 2 minutes to see if one of the cables is loose. But yeah, that's pretty interesting that you haven't turned your computer off in 6 years, though. I didn't realize people could do that. I did not realize that. All right, so let's go through these bets as though, oh, you know what? Okay, I'm not gonna place the bets because I am gonna make a video a bit later, but we will just go through these bets about what I want to do here. So we have the 93T bet. We have the 93T bet. Then we have the, I think a small bet on AO77 is fine. I think a small bet on AO77 is also fine. Adrian says, damn, you were killing it. Had almost half of 12 inches PvP viewers. Yeah, you know what, Adrian, I'm still fine with that. You know what, it is what it is. I'm glad I was able to get back up. And I may not still have the viewers, but I did have them, you know what I mean? Honestly, I went through the first like hour and 45 minutes of that stream where like I didn't look at the viewership once, and I honestly didn't even realize that anybody else was streaming. So it's like, honestly, ignorance is bliss as a content creator. It's better to just not know and just kind of like do your own thing. I mean, do I want to fade SW again? Oh, I definitely do. Look at how badly F840D has beaten all of their opponents. Like FA4D trounced FCK last week. Absolutely trounced them. So yeah, we can bet it. We'll keep fading SW. We'll keep fading SW. And then the 89N bet is amazing. Like, this 89N bet looks amazing. Oh, Hayden, I appreciate it. And Hayden, I really appreciate you being in chat tonight. You've had a lot of very interesting things to say. I'm sorry I missed a couple. There's a couple of your chats about matchmaking that I guess I was scrolled up on. Rexo, by the way, welcome to the stream. I'm just noticing that you got in, but yeah, no, Hayden, I really appreciate you hanging out. I can tell that you are very knowledgeable about the game, and that always makes the chat much more interesting, and the stream much more interesting. Stompy, I do not have a Samsung 980 Pro SSD. I actually don't know what the hard drive is on my computer. I just noticed that whenever I put the notepad up, that you guys can see my taskbar over here. Is my taskbar revealing anything? No, it's not. I do not know what kind of hard drive I have, but I don't think it's a Samsung 980 Pro. Yeah, like it kind of was. It was as if my power went out because it was just like so instantaneous, and it had like nothing to do with like I was just like sitting here talking, right? Like I had Notepad open. You know, it's like it's not like I suddenly started running some new program or anything, and it just like shut off. Anyway, all right, these are our bets, and the thing about this is that these are all underdogs, and so we don't need to put like a lot on any of these teams. We'll just put the rest on 60 GT. Let's put the rest on 60 GT because we're in Auric preservation mode here. Now the question is, how much do we put on each of these? The 93T bet I honestly think is a pretty good one, so I don't hate putting. You could put 15% here, but again, we're in Auric preservation mode, so I don't mind 10% there, 5% on AO7, 5% on 40 F8 4D. I hate this. Someone needs to tell these guys to fix their alliance name. F84D is a freaking mouthful, and it's even annoying to look at. But we are going to bet on Fallen Demons. And then we can definitely bet 15% on 89N. This seems like a really good underdog bet right here. Honestly, an amazing number of good bets for the semifinals. Stompy says 60 GT nearly lost last week, barely won. I did hear that. I did hear that. Oh, geez, I did not realize it was that close. I did not watch that match. I saw the highlight of it. I saw where K24 like took their obelisk. Where like on the, I think it was on the first arc. I assume it was the first arc. K244 didn't go mid, and then they just they warped to 60 GT's obelisk and took the obelisk. I thought that was a great strategy. I think that's the kind of thing you could do in your own Ark of Osiris matches, right? Like that's the kind of thing that would work. You know, that would work on many levels. Especially if you have like a couple of like big whales on your team. You take the enemy obelisk during the first arc, and then your two big whales teleport to that obelisk and just are absolutely terrorize the enemy. I thought of all the plays we've seen in this Osiris League season, I think the play that 244 did is probably the play that will have the most impact on like the regular Sunday arc matches in the future, because like a lot of teams can pull that off. So yeah, I guess 60 GT is not like a great bet here. Thank you for pointing that out, Stompy. To be fair, 60 GT is not a great bet here at all, especially when we have all of our Eye of Talent coins on 60 GT. Is there a world where I hedge a little bit and go on Wib? What can I buy with 112? With 112 of these coins, I can buy... What do I need to buy all of these materials? I need 40, 70, 110. So I already have everything I need for these materials. If I bet on Wib, I'll get 8. Or I could bet on somebody else. Is there a better bet? 1V maybe? I could bet on 1V. I could bet a couple Auric. I could bet a couple of these on 1V. I might do that. I'll do that for my video. All right. So, all right. Let me write these out so that people. We're gonna let's up all these a little bit, because if nothing else, we are gambling degenerates, right? So bet 15% on 93T over 1V in Horus. Bet 10% on AO77 over... yeah. E177? EE18. Okay, of course. H. Bet 10% on F840D over SW in A, or in B, in Bastet. This is in Anubis. And bet 20% on 89N over 89CG in Bastet. Spend the rest of your points. Isn't Wib in KVK? They are. They are in KVK, Mr. George, but it doesn't look like the level 7 passes opening later tonight are going to change much. So Wib did just fine last week when they were in KVK, and they should still be okay this week, I think. I mean, they're being pressured. But like, there's just like no reason to risk all your Oryx on 60 GT at these odds when they barely won last week. You're gonna win so little anyway, right? And especially when there are a bunch of other good bets, and especially when you've probably made enough Oryx at this point to just buy out the shop anyway. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that I didn't bet last week, because I think people who followed my bets are like near the top here. Like Dadgoware follows my bets. He literally like shared my bets in our Alliance chat last week, and he's #1 in our kingdom in total earnings. You know, whereas I'm like way down now. I was in 10th, now I'm in 34th. Scrazia. Connor says, even though the ratio is off, I don't see a situation where SW loses. You know what? That's a fair point, but that is just like, betting is a very betting should have no emotion involved in it at all. Betting is just about assessing the odds and like making good bets on the odds, no matter how ugly and stupid the bet feels. Like it can feel so stupid to bet against SW, to bet on a team that I've never heard of, whose Alliance tag I can't even pronounce. It can feel so stupid to bet on them, but it's like the odds sometimes the best bets you make in your life are the ones that just seem completely idiotic, but you're just like, the odds demand that I make that bet anyway, you know? Because like, you can win a bet that you can win a bet that you're totally uncertain about, and you can also win a bet that you feel sure about. Like the actual game and the result, they don't care how you feel about it. It's the game and the result is going to play out how it plays out, and your feelings about it have no impact at all. And so like, you can feel bad about some bets, you can feel good about other bets. That doesn't change the odds at all. Hayden says, basically, if he thinks they win 100% of the time, then it should be 100-0. That literally means he should bet against them because the odds are in his favor, because 0 to 100 is non-existent. Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying exactly that, but I am saying that like counterintuitive bets are often like pretty good bets. Better's fallacy or something? I can take a look. I'll see what better's fallacy means. Oh, the gambler's fallacy is different. Yeah, the gambler's fallacy is more like when, like if you do a coin toss and it's heads 5 times in a row, the gambler's fallacy is that it's more likely to be tails the next time. Okay, so these are the bets. We're just betting on 4 underdogs here. You can certainly bet less. You don't need to bet this much on the underdogs. I'm just suggesting these amounts because betting on underdogs is fun. I could buy 5% here. I could buy 5% on a FH4D. I think this looks a little bit better. You could even do 5% on AO77 because I don't have like a strong opinion on this one. But yeah, these are going to be our bets. I may change the numbers slightly when I make my video, but this is what we're going to bet this week. And hopefully you're all doing well in your gambling this season. All right, so at this point, the pass is open in about 30 minutes. It is time for us to get to Champions of Olympia. If anybody would like to play COO with me, just let me know in the chat, and I'll have you message me in game, and you can play COO with me. It's unranked, so it's very chill. And yeah, just let me know if anybody wants to play Champions of Olympia. Natsu, okay. That's an easy one. That's an easy one. Here, I'll just, I'm gonna throw an invite into... Actually, I'll just send it to Natsu. I'll send the first invite to Natsu, that's fine. And if anybody else wants to play, let me know, and you guys can get in. Yeah, I mean, we're already back up to 18 viewers, so looks like a lot of people rejoined, which is cool. I love what I can get on a good rant. You know what I mean? Like that rant about the equipment just flowed so well. If I had predicted it before I started, I would have predicted it might have taken half an hour. But I think we were literally on that subject for an hour straight. And I think it was a pretty good conversation. Like, basically, like, by talking to you all about it and articulating my own thoughts out loud, I think I both expanded the, like, the number of points I wanted to make, but I also, like, simplified what the actual questions were. Where, like, at the end, we got to that point where it was, like, basically... I don't see. I'm so old. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but it was like, whatever. I'll go back later and find out that question I asked at the end that like very nicely summarized what the issue is. You know, something about the best customers. Like, do you want the best customers to have the perfect path, or do you want? Oh yeah, because most people will not dismantle for a long time, do you want to... Do we really need to do the absolute best possible thing for the best customers in the game? Or should we just like keep things as they are and keep balance a little bit better? Something like that. I know this is the thing about conversation and about articulating points out loud and just like going through the actual discourse of like how things should be, is like it actually like it makes your arguments better, right? Wait, didn't I use this skill? Oh man, nice to have this guy Blast here come in and help me clear these dudes. I feel like I got a bad jump on this fight, but Blast came in and saved the freaking day. Let's go. Hopefully he doesn't gather at the exact same spot as I do. He is. We don't want that, but maybe we get this anyway. Like, Blast should have gone to this other side here so that we're on totally opposite sides of gathering. But... Alright, so he got it somehow. This is a bit janky or a bit risky because we're returning it on their side. But I think we'll be okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna go here. I could grab this rune, but actually I'm gonna grab this rune. Because we just have like mad numbers here. What? It's interesting that, like, in this mode, I'm still dragging. I don't right-click in this mode. I think it's basically because, A, I can't use simplified graphics, and B, I can't use dot mode. So right-clicking just doesn't feel as... it's not as clear to me that I'm targeting somebody as when I just drag and see that red circle. I obviously should have used my ultimate here. I was talking at the same time as trying to fight, and I forgot to use my ult. And that was very dumb of me. And I should maybe even run with my marches, but whatever, I got wiped. It is what it is. Oh, we're playing against somebody from 1v. We need to get this win. We need to beat 1v. Where do I post bets? Adrian, I'm gonna make a video later. I'm gonna make a video after this stream. Just like a real quick video. Last week I didn't do one because my sleep schedule was like totally weird, and I did a stream at like 4 in the morning. Okay, I guess this thing is not over, but we are getting this apple again, so... I feel like my team is playing very well here. I feel like I played meh, but my team is very good. I mean, this is literally the first stream I've done in the last month where no one asked me what my bets were before I did them. And the only explanation I have for that is that my bets have been so good that everyone has already bought out the shop and they don't care anymore. So that's just mission accomplished right there. I mean, the lack of speed tuning on my team is like pretty frustrating. My Nevsky gets there so much faster than my other marches that it does create problems. Like, let's be real, it does create problems. Because for one thing, my Nevsky has like my best gear, so like you don't want my Nevsky should not be getting targeted first, but he inevitably gets targeted first every time. So I need to like, kinda like, once the Nevsky gets there, I need to like fight and avoid the enemy. And just like mess with them a little bit. So I think I gave stats to a couple of teammates. Did we just deliver another apple? Jeez, we wrecked this 1v team. I don't know about you all, but I'm 1-0 on the week against 1v Champions of Olympia teams. If anybody else wants to play Champions of Olympia, speak now, or forever hold your peace. Oh, I actually did pretty good. Pretty good pretty good kill participation at the end of the day. Hayden, thanks for hanging out. Talk to you later. Have a good one. And Hayden, you are still a whale. Spending $200 to $500 a month is still a whale. Don't discount yourself and say you're a dolphin, in my opinion. You would be a whale in 770 anyway. I'm not sure what kingdom you're in, but around here you'd be a whale. So when I started the stream, I mentioned that I had not been playing or thinking about ROK much this week. The reason for that is, as some of you know, I'm pretty heavily involved in the crypto streets, and there was a new app released in crypto about a week ago called Friend.Tech. And Friend.Tech is a pretty interesting, kind of savage game where you basically just invest in people. It's kind of based on people's Twitter accounts. You just invest in people. You can essentially pay to be in their paid chat room. And so when you buy a share of someone, the price for the next share goes up. And basically you're just buying and selling people is essentially what you're doing. And the reason this works is because the app has basically 4 tabs, and one of the tabs is an airdrop tab. And the thing with crypto, the game that happens in crypto nowadays is that if you participate in any of these apps, you become eligible for the airdrop. And if an app is successful, then they will airdrop tokens for their app, and you can potentially make quite a bit of money, right? The main way to make crypto during these bear markets is to just use a bunch of different apps and platforms, and some of them will be very successful. And then when they airdrop the token for their app or for their platform, you can essentially make a good amount of money while risking very little, right? And so that's the thing with Friend.Tech. Friend.Tech got a lot of users very quickly, and it sort of got the attention of crypto. And it's a pretty savage game because when you sell someone, when you sell one of their keys, then you no longer have access to their chat, and the price goes down very quickly. The price of a person goes up and down very, very quickly. So you can lose a lot of money quickly, you can win a lot of money very quickly. The point is, in the long run, if you just break even, if you break even over the next 6 months and this app is successful, then you will get airdropped a decent amount of money. So if you are involved in crypto, or if you just are even remotely involved in crypto and just want to support me a little bit, I do have some referral codes in the description of this live stream for Friend.Tech. All you have to do is go to Friend.Tech and sign up and use that referral code. You will not be able to use the app unless you deposit crypto onto the Base network, which is Coinbase's new Ethereum layer 2 network. That probably doesn't make sense to most people listening to this, but my only point, I have 2 points basically. One, if you just want to support me a little bit, use one of my referral codes, sign up for Friend.Tech, and you don't even have to deposit money, but just by simply signing up and using my referral code, that's going to make me a little bit of money. So the referral codes are in the description of the stream. But if you are involved in crypto and it sounds interesting to you and you haven't signed up yet, you can use one of my referral codes for that too. I'm going to be honest that it's a pretty dangerous game And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose your money. Like, I'm down money on it so far. And I did not farm as many airdrop points on the first week as I thought I would. So it has not been like an amazing experience for me so far, to be honest, because I'm down money. But it's interesting, right? I mean, these are the games that are going to be played in the future, at least in crypto, right? They're like very like gambling related games. They're very like high risk, high reward type of games. And they're going to center around airdrop farming. And the reason they're going to be popular is because it makes sense. Like, it's definitely a way to make money, right? Like, like I've made a bunch of free money in crypto in the last 2 years, simply like joining certain platforms, like this, like Arbitrum, right? Like, there's this like layer 2 called Arbitrum that everyone knew was going to be successful. Everyone knew that it was gonna was gonna be an airdrop. I like barely even used the freaking thing. I used it for like, I mean, I invested some money on there, and I spent maybe like 4 hours doing stuff on Arbitrum over like a 6-month period, and I literally made like half the money that I've spent on this game in my life. You know what I mean? So like, the airdrop meta in crypto is extremely legitimate, but it's, in certain situations with certain apps, it's very high risk, very high reward, and Friend.Tech is certainly one of those situations. So I don't want anyone to feel like, I'm not trying to encourage anyone to use Friend.Tech, but I just wanted to put it out there, right? And like, you can invest in me if you want. I'm very cheap. It would cost you like $4 to invest in me. And then you would have access to my paid chat. And if you wanted to like talk to me, like if you want me to like respond to like all your Discord messages that you ever send to me, just like join my Friend.Tech group, and I definitely will like talk to you like all day long if you want. But like, I really am not like trying to make money on my own group. I have no intention of like spending a lot of time there. I have zero intention of promoting my Friend.Tech group to like my Twitter or to this chat, but I'm just letting y'all know that it exists, basically. As we apparently lose this COO match that I'm clearly very focused on. I mean, the real reason I'm bringing that stuff up is because, like, you know, I don't know what the future of this channel is going to be, right? I really enjoy Rise of Kingdoms and all that, but at the end of the day, this game, we don't own our accounts, right? We do not have ownership of our accounts in this game. We can sell our accounts on the black market, but it's frowned upon, and you know, you're not really supposed to do it, and you can get in trouble, and anyone who buys a black market account takes massive risks that the original owner could like screw them over. But in my opinion, the future of a game like this, like at some point way down the road, is that our accounts will be you can freely buy and sell accounts in a game like this, because the account will not be owned by the game itself. The account will be owned by you, and the account will sort of like sit in your wallet, and then your wallet will connect to the game, and you will, you know, we'll sort of just like, we will, in-game assets will work in that way, where players will own their own in-game assets, and companies will sort of just like have a less dominant, have a less centralized role in what we do with our property. I think that's the long-term future of gaming, and I think we are at the very rudimentary stages of that with stuff like Friend.Tech. Obviously you can't like, obviously in like ROK you can't gamble on anything real, and obviously in ROK you cannot you know, it's not like in the first year of ROK, if we played the game a lot, it's not like after a year we got an airdrop that gave us partial ownership of the company, right? But in the future that I would like to see in gaming, if you're an early supporter of something that you think is cool, then you will A, get to own your assets in that game, and B, you will get airdropped, not exactly ownership of the game, but you will get airdropped a governance token that allows you to vote on future developments of the game. And I think that is simply a fairer way to do things, right? Because look, for those of us who are early players in this game, like, we added a lot to this game, right? Like someone like myself or someone like Adinabo, like, we literally built an alliance in this game that has existed for 5 years, that has kept a lot of people playing this game and a lot of people spending on this game, where if it were not for our alliance, they would have quit playing this game years ago. So we have given a lot to Lilith, right? However much Addy and I have spent on this game, we have generated way more money for them than we have spent on the game. But we have not gotten anything for that. We have gotten literally nothing for all of the good things we've done for this game. And I think that there is a better balance that can take place in a lot of games. And I think that crypto and the blockchain is a pretty good way of doing that. There's a very long way to go. There's a very, very long way to go. But I think it's interesting. It's interesting to follow that whole like Web3 NFT gaming scene. I'm definitely involved in it. You know, you're probably going to hear more about it on this channel in the future. So that's kind of why I'm bringing up Friend.Tech now and talking about it a bit. May6 says, when will you register for KVK? We are going to register in early September. I think maybe the next pop. It might be the next pop that we register. I'm not exactly sure. All right, are we losing again? I'm definitely not paying any attention. I'm going to be real. I'm not paying any freaking attention. I mean, is the thief soon? Is the thief soon? It looks like people are thinking it's going to be soon. It looks like people think it's going to be soon. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Why is this skill not working that often? This is janky. I targeted like 3 times, and it took three. Only on the 3rd time did my Boudica actually target somebody. That is scuff. That is, why is my Boudica? Look at my Boudica. I'm targeting with it. It's not registering. This is literally the biggest issue with COO, is that so much stuff is unresponsive. Fire Thief is up. We're getting wrecked in this one. We are getting wrecked. Netsu says, yeah, I'm lagging too. Yeah, this one seems pretty laggy, to be honest. So this is the issue. Like, I have 2 here, they have 3. All right. All right, Natsu, I think we got our rewards for those 4 matches by going 2-2. I think we got our rewards. I've literally never heard of any of these alliances. Looks like we had somebody from OG on our team. And yet we still lost. Very embarrassing. Embarrassing loss right there. But it is what it is. Let's get our 2 gold heads and head for Z Hills. And I will play some team ranked with you tomorrow morning, maybe. Yep, sounds good. Sounds good. Let me see if I can raid anybody. I want to practice raiding someone. Or let me see if it's possible. Oh, I'm the only person live streaming right now. All right. Is there anything else I can do? Because it looks like Chisel is going to start streaming soon. And if I'm the only person streaming right now, I feel like I should get some of the like shrapnel from people waiting to watch his stream. Let's see, what else can I talk about? Very briefly, in the closing minutes of this stream. I covered Friend.Tech. What else can I cover? I mean, I didn't talk about my general mental state, which is a little bit shaky lately, but since I made it 2 hours and 50 minutes without talking about my shaky mental state, I'm gonna call that a victory and not talk about it at all. Because I know that you all would rather me talk about ROK than like any other subject. Which is a little tough for me because I like to talk about myself and I like to talk about other things that are happening either in my life or just about the things I'm interested in. I mean, we could go over crypto very quickly. We could talk about crypto very quickly. Because that'll give me an excuse to talk about my own life. I mean, obviously crypto crashed like a week or so ago. 1 second. The thing I was curious about earlier was I was curious about like when crypto crashed, because basically, all right, so basically Bitcoin was in like a very tight range for quite a while. And as this sort of this crab season went on, this is what we call a crab season, or like a week of crab. A crab is when like nothing happens and it just like stays flat. During this crab phase, you know, the people who I listened to were like getting increasingly bullish or bearish. And the main guy I follow, which is a guy named Crypto Donald, I'll show you his Twitter in case you're interested. This is Crypto Donald. He is an absolute crypto crusher. He has absolutely crushed crypto. I mean, he's a multi-millionaire. He's totally retired from ever having to work again. He was trying to buy a castle. Like 6 months ago, this dude was trying to buy a castle. Anyway, this guy's been like right about everything Bitcoin related for the past 2 years. And so I listened to him quite a bit. He was bullish during this, or he was bearish. He sold all his crypto. I eventually sold all my crypto during this period as well. And then it fell off a cliff on 8/16. Okay, so that was 9 days ago. Yeah, so like I sold my crypto here. And as they say, a penny saved is a penny earned. And it's just kind of weird that I've like kind of been in a bad mood lately, because I should really be in a good mood for just this one simple decision I made to sell all my crypto. Because it's been like a 15% drop since this point. And so I saved like a decent amount of money by selling my crypto. Like I saved what I would spend in a year on Rise of Kingdoms, basically, by like making this just this one good decision. So I was just curious. I was curious when that happened. I was curious when that drop happened, because I was like, why am I in a bad mood lately when I should be in a good mood that the crypto is dropping and I can like buy in at cheaper prices? Basically everyone is still basically I'm still bearish. I don't think now is a good time to buy. I think we're essentially waiting for a decision on the ETF. A very big company called BlackRock, they announced, like, BlackRock is like the biggest like financial company in the world. It's like a private equity wealth. Or it's just like where like private investors and like big companies and stuff just like they send their money to BlackRock, and then BlackRock invests it very smartly. So BlackRock is trying to create an ETF for Bitcoin. And that, because BlackRock is such a like traditional finance powerhouse, there's like a good chance that that ETF will be approved, even though other Bitcoin ETFs have not been approved. So basically right now the market is waiting to see if BlackRock's ETF will be approved, rejected, or delayed. And it's likely that there will be about a 10% swing either way based on that. Like if it gets delayed, there will probably be a 10% drop in Bitcoin. And if it gets approved, there will likely be a 10% increase in Bitcoin. And the market is just kind of like doing nothing, waiting for that news. And so I'm on the sidelines. If Bitcoin and Ethereum drop in price, that's fine with me. That means I can buy in cheaper later. And, you know, if people are interested in that, I can certainly keep you updated on my crypto moves. Adrian says 12-inch basically has a cult built off talking about his personal life. Video game says hedge funds. Video games, good to have you here. Good to have you here for the we're about to wrap up video games, but definitely good to have you here, my man. Hope everything is good in your life. Yeah, Adrian, you know, honestly, it's really interesting. It's like a really interesting thing. You know, I enjoy talking about my personal life. I enjoy sharing sharing my thoughts with the chat, you know. I do it partly just because it's like another thing for me to talk about, but I also do it because it's like actually very useful for me. You know, like basically like maybe like 6 weeks ago, I was like killing a barb keep at the beginning of my stream, and you know, we can go to that KVK because that's gonna pop off soon, right? And I was talking at the beginning of the stream about how I was feeling very anxious and I was feeling very antsy. And the next thing I said was, I think that's a good sign, because that means I'm on my A game. Like when I'm feeling antsy and when I'm feeling anxious and I'm like dead sober, that essentially means I'm on my A game. I'm performing as best as I possibly can. And my mind is messing with me, right? My mind is telling me that I'm so anxious that I need to drink alcohol or smoke pot in order to like reduce that anxiety. But my mind is only doing that because I am a self-destructive person whose mind tricks me constantly. My mind is always tricking me to like make my life worse than it would be if I like never listened to my mind. If I never listened to some mostly subconscious internal monologue that is always trying to get me to do the wrong thing rather than do the right thing for my like long-term benefit. And like that was like really interesting. Like that me having that conversation in public with you all was very useful for me this week, because I did go a little bit off the rails this week. Like on Tuesday, I went off the rails. I should have gotten my work done, but instead I went off the rails, and woke up the next day not feeling very good. And I just kind of realized that I've been in a down cycle for like a little bit too long. Like ever since our war ended, ever since we won the war, I have been in a down cycle. I bought some. And by the way, if anybody, I don't want this to be like a adult only stream, but I do sometimes talk about adult topics. So just to warn anybody listening right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about some stuff. I'm going to talk about things that are completely legal, right? I live in Nevada, and it is completely legal to buy cannabis in Nevada. And so after we won our last war, I did buy some cannabis. It's the first time I bought or consumed any cannabis in about 8 months. And, I did it for about a month, and I was unproductive in life. I didn't make a lot of YouTube videos. I didn't really maintain relationships with people. I didn't communicate with people a lot. I get very, very quiet when I consume cannabis. When I consume cannabis, I get very, very quiet, and I'm not very productive, right? And like where I'm at in life, I just can't be that way. I have to be very, very productive. I'm behind in life. I need to both do my job. I need to work on side hustles like YouTube. I need to get in better shape. I need to play more poker as another side hustle, and I need to like improve my relationships with people, make more friendships, and just like have a bit more balance in my life. I have a lot of catching up to do, and so I cannot really go on these like month-long down cycles that only occur because I bought some cannabis. Because the truth is, I was on my A game. Like when I said that about 6 weeks ago, that I'm feeling anxious and that means I'm on my A game, like I actually was on my A game, right? I had my best performance in a KVK as both a player and a leader in the war we just had a month ago. That was the best performance I have ever had. And it is also the case that I had a very good performance as a YouTuber. I think I did 5 live streams during that war. And, looking back on it and looking back on the content I did on live streams during that war, I'm actually happy with it. I'm like actually happy with my output. Like I can't, like that's pretty, like that's good. Like 5 live streams in like a 9-day war. That's good. Like that's literally, I will say that is a good performance. And quite frankly, I almost never have a good performance like almost any day in my life, right? I am a perpetual B+ student. On a good day, I get a B+. On a bad day, I get a B or a B-. On a really good day, I get an A-. And I've hardly ever gotten A's in my life in anything I've ever done, right? And my performance in that last KVK, I would give it an A. Like between how I played in the actual war and also the content I created, I would give it an actual A. And I said on the live stream, I said I was in an upcycle. I said it week after week. I was like, I'm in an upcycle. And then I bought some cannabis and I went into a down cycle. And I don't think I would have been able to track those things. I don't think I would have been able to record those things if I had not verbalized them out loud to the stream over time. But I could look back. I have that memory. I remember when I was killing a barb keep, saying to you all, I'm feeling anxious, I'm on one, but this is probably what my A game looks like. Like my A game is a very anxious, antsy, kind of spazzy type of person. That's my A game. Like that's my A game. It is what it is. That's me playing, that's me living life at a very high level, right? Like I played a super good role in a tough war, and I live streamed the crap out of it. Like that's an A game in anybody's book, right? That's an A game in anybody's book. And so, you know, that's like really useful to me, right? Like I know that not everyone enjoys that part of the stream, but like for me personally, that's actually really useful to just like talk about these things out loud, because like quite frankly, I wouldn't talk about this stuff to like anybody else in my life. I would only talk about it to, you know, semi-strangers on my live stream. And so like that's, Adrian, you know, you said that 12-inch has, you know, built a following off his personal life. That I always think about that. I always think about the way that 12-inch does his streams and does his content versus the way someone like Chiskel does his content. Where Chiskel is basically, you know, he's like in a good mood every time, right? And he doesn't really talk about his life that much. He talks about his life in a way that like, I don't think anyone gets annoyed by it. He just kind of like gives you a little bit here and there where like you want that. Like you want that little bit from Chiskel for sure. If anything, I think most of us would like to hear more about his life. But he doesn't like overdo it. He doesn't overdo it at all. And so I think about both of those sides of the spectrum. And I would like to be more like Chiskel. I think that's the more professional, more audience-friendly way of doing it. But if I'm being honest with myself, if I'm being true to who I am, I would talk a lot about my life, honestly. I would talk about my problems. I would talk about, well, I mean, I wouldn't talk about my personal life as much as 12-inch, because like my personal life is not as interesting as his. But I would talk about the things that are going on in my life and in my mind that are unrelated to Rise of Kingdoms. And I do know that that's like not what a lot of people want. I totally get that. But you know, A, it's useful to me. B, it's who I am. And C, you know, we have to fill the air. We have to fill the air somehow, right? And so that's kind of where I'm at with that issue, right? And hopefully it's useful to other people as well, right? Because I am an older person, and so like I've made some of the mistakes that like you all maybe don't want to make. And I'm happy to talk about those things, and I'm happy to like, well, I mean, I don't know how far I'm going to go, but I mean, on some level, you all can learn from some of the mistakes I've made. And on some level, I'm willing to talk about those mistakes and hopefully help you not do some of the same things that I have done, you know? Video game says I never drank or smoked in my life by choice. Yeah, I mean, alcohol is like a real problem, right? Like alcohol is really bad. I've been watching YouTube videos this week about how bad alcohol is. And I'll be honest, I'm drinking a beer right now because I had like one beer left from Tuesday. And drinking one beer is fine, you know? And I am gonna smoke after this stream, but I have not smoked all day. And so my goal is to go my entire day without smoking. And then at the end of the night, when all of my work is done, like an hour before I go to bed, I might smoke once, and that can give you some insights on your life. Like smoking can give you some insights on your life that are pretty useful and illuminating. But you don't want to smoke all day because it kills your ambition and it makes you way less productive. And so that's kind of like where I'm at with that. Adrian says trying to start a business right now and are okay like taking away time and focus from that. It's like a stress mechanism too. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, ROK is like a huge life wrecker, and it has definitely affected my life, and it has caused me to make some like genuine mistakes in my life that I can never get back. And so I want to be real about that too, right? I want to be real about the fact that we're committing, like, we're in order to play this game at the level that most of us play it at, like with the amount of seriousness we play it at, we're making sacrifices in other parts of our life. And we have to assess, each of us individually has to assess, is the juice worth the squeeze? And also maybe like assess, why are you doing it, right? Like on some level, I'm doing it because this is like a very rewarding game for me. Like I'm good at it, and you know, really one of the best things about ROK for me is that like this is like the best version of myself, right? When I'm interacting with my alliance in KBK or in like Ark of Osiris or something, they're literally seeing like the best version of me. Like any version of me that they would see in real life would be less impressive and less like valuable to them than the version they see in ROK. And so I get to like actually show, but it's a real part of me. Like I'm very good at games. I'm a good leader. I have like a good mind for war. I have like a ton of experience in games. And I thrive in controlled environments. I thrive in environments that have rules that everyone agrees to abide by. Whereas in a more chaotic social environment where there are no rules, I just don't do as well. I get I don't know, it's just like a little bit too open-ended for me, right? I like to have some guardrails on what I'm doing. Vader, welcome to the stream. Alad, thanks for being here, and thanks for saying this is your favorite ROK channel. It is my favorite channel as well. Cherry says, thanks for opening up, Brian. I know it's tough when you got to go through days with anxiety or panic. It's a battle. Yeah, Cherry, I know you've had some tough days as well as you sort of improve your own life. And but Cherry, like the thing is, a lot of that anxiety, at least for me, this is just for me, right? A lot of the anxiety I feel is my mind messing with me. Like my mind is simply messing with me. It just messes with me so freaking much. Like I've been sober, like I've been really sober for the last 2 days, right? And I've been in like a bad mood for the last 2 days. This is why I was looking at the Bitcoin price. This is why I was looking at the Bitcoin price earlier to see like when the price went down. Because I was like, why am I in a bad mood? I should be in a good mood, that I made a good decision that saved myself a bunch of freaking money, right? And I was like, well, how many days ago did that happen? Like, shouldn't I still be in a good mood for that thing? Because I was getting mad that I lost money on this Friend.Tech thing, right? I lost like $150 on Friend.Tech, right? I didn't even lose that much. And I was like getting really upset at myself for that. And it's only because I was sober. It's only because I was dead sober and my mind was messing with me. And, you know, Cherry, I'm not saying that this is the same thing for you, but I think that a lot of times when we feel anxiety, it's really like, it's kind of like a good thing, right? Like it's we just can't trust our mind with everything that our mind is telling us to feel. Like our mind messes with us like really hard, you know? And like, I mean, I partly realized that just from living, and I partly realized that from talking with people, but I also partly realized that from articulating those exact thoughts on this live stream in the past, you know? Where I literally was like feeling anxious and I was like, you know what? This is actually my A game. I should be like fine with this anxiety, right? I should be fine with this low level of anxiety that I should deal with. And I should not be like immediately like searching for like an escape or for a release. And I'm not everyone feels this way, but you know, like, you know, addiction runs in my family, and I know that there are people in my family who like feel the same way as me. Like I talk about it with people. I'm like, dude, I get it, man. I get it. Like you get home from work and you need that release, you know? And they're like, yeah, I need that release. It's like, that's exactly it, you know? And I think it's just like a psychological chemical thing where like we just mess with ourselves. We just hardcore mess with ourselves. Because yeah, I mean, I think alcohol is like really bad for you. Like more as time is going on, people are realizing more and more scientists are saying that like alcohol is like a very, very damaging drug. Like it literally messes up your sleep like every night. I say this as I'm drinking, but like if you drink alcohol within like 3 hours of going to sleep, it will affect your sleep that night. Adrian says 12-inch goes on stream to chill and talk to chat, and no event, just barb chaining. Yeah, I think 12-inch is like a very interesting person, right? And I probably do need to take my webcam out of the box and set up my green screen and use a webcam for some of these streams, because I do think that, you know, if I'm going to be sharing personal stuff about me, I think it does help to see the person and sort of like relate to them better in that way. Yeah, I mean, you know, Adrian, I'm just trying to like take good parts from. I'm not really like copying anybody. I'm literally just being myself, but I'm trying to like acknowledge that there are good things that 12 inches does, and then I'm also acknowledging that Chiskel makes a lot of very good ROK content, and I do like to react to some of his content. I mean, I literally went on like an hour-long, very good rant earlier that was a reaction to one of Chiskel's videos about new equipment, you know? So you know, I mean, I really just appreciate all the support. I appreciate people, you know, responding to what I'm putting out there. I do think this is a very interesting endeavor, this YouTube thing, for sure. Darth, good to have you here. Glad you're enjoying it. You just have to make it one day at a time. Yeah, I mean, there's like so many different levels to like different ways to think about things. I think like living in the moment and being very present is a very useful way to go about life. I think a lot of my best performing periods of my life is when I was mostly focused on being present. There are other times where you can think it's like kind of a waste of time, or like a waste to like spend all your mental energy focusing on the present moment, focusing on your breathing, focusing on like literally like what's right in front of you. But like when I look back, some of the, like my best moments, or some of my like best like, you know, multi-day stretches of my life is when I was like very, very like focused on mindfulness, when I was meditating. It just leads, it's like, it's weird. It's so weird, you know, like it's not, life is not what we think it is. And playing your A game and being very successful in your life is not what you think it is. Like, you know, if you when you wake up in the morning, if you go outside and get some actual sunlight in the first couple hours of your day, that raises your testosterone. And raising your testosterone can help your performance in a number of different ways. And so like my sleep schedule has been messed up for like a very long time, but for the past couple days, I've gotten up early and I've gone for a walk like in the morning and gotten some sunlight like at the start of my day. And the last 2 days with work, I've been very focused and I've gotten my work done like much faster than normal, right? Now, part of that might just because I'm kind of like trying to get an upcycle going, but part of it might just be because I went outside and got some sunlight at the start of the freaking day, and it bumped up my testosterone a bit, and that testosterone drove me to a higher performance level. You know, so it's like, I forget what somebody was saying. Oh, Darth was saying you just have to make it one day at a time, right? So like it's all these things that seem stupid can actually make you like perform better. Like getting plenty of sleep, that might seem stupid, but it actually helps. Focusing on the present and not worrying about the past, that can actually help you perform better. You know, getting some sunlight, exercising, that can help you perform better. Video game says, do you have other hobbies aside from ROK? Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I really like listening to podcasts. I listen to a number of different podcasts that are very good. I'm definitely very involved in crypto. I enjoy NFTs. I enjoy like art. Like I enjoy like NFT art, for example. I'm very into that. I'll show you guys my art collection. I'll show you guys my art collection. I don't think I'm really giving anything away here. I'll show you some of the art that I have in the NFT world. I mean, like obviously my PFP is a bastard Ganpunk. So like there's CryptoPunks. There are CryptoPunks in the NFT art world, and CryptoPunks are like the original NFT project, and so they're like very, very valuable. Bastard Ganpunks is something that was done by a Turkish artist in early 2021, before the NFT boom, where he took the CryptoPunk data set, he put it into an AI program called a GAN adversarial network, and then that GAN adversarial network spit out a bunch of outputs. It spit out like 10,000 or so outputs. And then this artist, whose name is Berk Özdemir, he's a Turkish artist, then he made some like slight tweaks to the art, like with this one here, with this this tassel-hatted Ganpunk here. Like he probably like saw this output, and then he like applied a background to it, right? He applied this very nice background to it, and you know, so he added some things to these outputs, but then others of these outputs, like this guy here, this double smoker, like the artist didn't do anything to this. This was literally just created by AI. So to me, this is like an incredible remix of CryptoPunks. And so I bought a bunch of these like a long time ago, and I collect them and interact with the community, and I make tweets where I analyze these Ganpunks from an artistic perspective. Art Blocks is like another very big platform, where like this is generative art. Like an artist writes the code ahead of time, and then like they write the code base ahead of time, and then at the time of minting the project, the buyer buys, you know, they buy a mint, but then the moment that the buyer decides to hit mint, that is the moment that all of this art here is output. Like all of this art is output at the moment that it is minted. And the output is determined by the code base that the artist wrote beforehand. And so a lot of this art is really quite cool, right? Like it's pretty freaking cool. You know, this implications is like this algorithm that goes on forever. This will go on forever. It always starts at the same point. So like inevitably you're just going to see the beginning of this over and over again if you just like try to watch it randomly at times. But literally this piece of art will go on forever, and it will just like constantly change. It's not going to repeat itself. It's going to be different every second of the way. And if you watch it for long enough, it changes quite a bit. And I mean, there's just like a lot of cool art. And you know, there's also very traditional art that's happening in NFTs, right? Like this is done by a British artist. This piece is called Aseka, and it talks about the droughts that happen in northern Brazil quite a bit. And he has this sort of like running narrative through his art of these like aliens that were like they were either brought to Earth or they landed on Earth. It kind of like varies based on the piece of art. But this piece of art, it depicts a drought happening in Brazil and sort of what happens when this alien family finds itself in northern Brazil during a drought, and you know, one of the family members dies of dehydration. So yeah, I mean, you know, I definitely have hobbies. My hobbies are pretty much all and then, you know, I also have art of people who you know, climb very, very tall buildings, sometimes legally and sometimes illegally, right? With no safety equipment, right? And then they take photos of it, and that photo is artwork that is sold in an NFT form where ownership is verified by the blockchain, right? So, you know, I definitely have some hobbies outside of ROK, but I think the lack of balance comes from the fact that almost all my hobbies take place right in front of my computer, right? And, you know, to go a little bit deeper with you all, the reality is that I have spent a huge part of my adult life by myself in front of my computer. You know, for better and for worse, that is what I have spent a lot of time doing. And that is just who I am as a person at this point. I'm not saying that I've made all good decisions, but I have made decisions that has made me a pretty happy person, has made me a somewhat interesting person. But yeah, thanks for that question, video games. Do you have any hobbies? Brian, you might remember he is Badass American. Yeah, Darth, you were in our alliance, right? That name is definitely very familiar. We used to play ROK with you, right? Cherry says, everyone's mental health is so different. Mine is opposite. My mind makes me doubt decisions and cause to get me to have this anxious feeling. Your mind is your worst enemy. Yeah, the conclusion I drew yesterday is that, what was it? What did I say? This was a line I wrote to myself as I was going to sleep, as I was a bit high. Is that, what was it? It was, it is that I should ignore everything my mind says and simply do the thing that is correct to make my life better going forward. I should ignore what my mind says and simply do what is best for my life going forward. Which is a very interesting thing to tell yourself. To not listen to anything that your mind says. But, you know, but that's what I concluded. Shout out to Jordan C, another YouTuber, another ROK YouTuber. So yeah, as I suspected, this is where the action is going to happen. Wait, this is not what I take that back. I thought the action was going to happen at this pass, actually. I thought this was where the action was going to happen. But I guess not. Well, there's action here. And there's action here. Where was I? Here? Yes, Rexo, best of luck. Rexo, thank you again for all the stuff on last stream. That was great. You even helped me with my you even helped me with the cropping of my screen at the beginning, which was awesome. So yeah, best of luck, Rexo. Looks like you guys still have a very tough fight ahead of you. Video game says guns and MMA mainly. There you go. There you go. I wish I knew more about guns, and I wish I was. I wish I knew a bit about MMA. I mean, I know about the sport, but I don't like know how to fight at all. See, I wish I knew more about both of those things, actually. Yeah, still playing, now in 2759 as NW Darkside. Nice, nice, badass American. Yeah, that's a blast from the past right there. Really cool that you're checking in. That's awesome. All right, let me test something real quick. Let me test something real quick. All right, what we're gonna do, everybody, is we are gonna raid Chiskel. Chiskel is going to give you the SW point of view of this pass opening. Obviously, I really was inspired by Chiskel's videos about new equipment, and it enabled me to go on a very good rant on this live stream. So the least we can do is thank Chiskel with a raid of his channel. Let me very quickly link it in the chat, and then I will send you all over there, and we will wrap it up that way. I think that's a pretty good plan to end a pretty good stream. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Go ahead and give Chiskel a little bit of love here as I send you over there. And I will see you all on the flip side.